Greetings, everyone. This is the Hipster Snek, and joining me today is my good buddy, Dietaku.
General Kenobi was a Gen 1er, and we both know it.
That's fair. So, this is a website. I will leave the link in the description down below. And you guys seem to like it when I sorted my Monster Rancher monsters. So, this time we're going to do something kind of similar, but also kind of different. This chart is broken up into each generation and by type. So there's also some others. There's some bonus ones at the bottom, but we'll get to those. So we're going to go in order from left to right across each generation. And I have to pick my favorite from each. Now, in Gen 1, that will be very easy because there were hardly any choices.
Yeah, I was going to say, okay, is this all right? So just so we're laying the ground rules.
All right.
Are we allowed to have repeats? Because, like, for instance, I know Gen 1 and Gen 5 have a lot of, you can double dip, I'm sure.
Yes. In fact, we will have to, because at the very last column, there are columns for gimmick form, legendaries, and favorite overall. So the ones that we pick for all these other choices will become our available choices for favorite for that generation. And so there will be repeats no matter what, but there will probably also just be some overlap because, some Pokemon have two types, so some will be available multiple times. Also, some Pokemon will appear repeatedly because I've checked. This actually includes things like Mega Forms, it includes Gigantomax forms, like Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre are included, for instance, stuff like that. As will regional forms like Alola and Galarian forms. So we're starting with the simplest of the simple, Gen 1 normal types. And I gotta say, in my first playthrough of Gen 1, I actually did have a Pidgeot on my team. And it was the first... What's that?
I am distinctly noticing one Gen 1 normal that's not on this list that I'm seeing.
Oh, do tell.
Clefairy.
Oh, that's... Oh, okay.
Clefairy is not a fairy.
Yeah, no, okay, here's a weird thing. The fairy type exists on the chart, so odds are good Clefairy has been listed there as a formality.
Even though...
it's technically incorrect, I know, but, like, the types that didn't show up till later are still included in Gen 1, so that's probably the rationale.
All right. So, okay, go ahead. Because I'll just... This slightly changes what my answer would be, but so go ahead.
Okay, here's the thing. I used Pidgeot. It was a pretty good Pokemon. I enjoyed it. From a pure design standpoint, I think the most interesting normal one is actually Porygon. I've never raised a Porygon, but I really, really like its design. I think it's very distinct.
I actually did. The funny thing is I am so bad at gambling in order to get the requisite amount of Game Center coins.
Right.
That I remember actually, like, this is the very first time I actually ground out something. Was my little brothers and I ground out the Elite Four so we could get the money to just buy the amount of games. Yes. And then we got it, and we're like, this Pokemon's kind of bad. So I understand where you're coming from. It's a very cool idea, and honestly, I think that the later additions to it, like Porygon 2 and Porygon Z, I know Porygon Z is a meme. I like its design. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I know it's not particularly good, but I still think it's cool. For me though, I have to be with my little brother Noodle, and I gotta rep his boy Eevee.
That's fair. That's fair.
But bear in mind though, if we're going full normal type, I would say Clefairy, because I think Clefairy is cool, and also it's really rare. And I think Metronome, I have had so many times, and I know this is complete anecdotal evidence, but I've had so many times where Metronome has like come in clutch for me, and it'll be like, oh no, I'm about to fight this big guy, like, Blizzard, or, oh no, I'm about to fight this guy, Hyper Beam. And it's like, Wow.
Well,
I didn't
okay.
think that would work, but okay.
Okay. Here's the thing. You guys at home are gonna learn as we go through this list. I do not generally like normal types. I find them
Hmm.
quite dull. So it's actually pretty rare that I'll have one on my team.
Okay,
Now,
let me ask you a question then.
sure.
If we were to say remove normal types as an idea and then replace it with fairy, because they clearly wanted to have like the cute like mascot
Yeah.
mammal Pokemon, would that change it in its estimation? Your opinion of that and any idea?
That's hard to say because there are certain fairies I like and there are certain fairies that I find really trite. Like I
Mhm.
don't really think we needed both Jigglypuff and Clefairy to kind of fill the exact same niche design and type wise. Um,
That's fair. I mean,
so
this is going to be my hot take opinion time.
all right,
The metagame for Gen 5 was not in a situation that it required. Dragons were strong, but they were not so overwhelmingly powerful that they required an additional type. Because honestly, the metagame in Gen 5 was all about auto weather. So you might as well have just had, like an entire type based around like just having like the entire type, a clear sky type and just having that be a thing.
it's like cast form if it was actually good.
Yeah, except that they
Fair,
didn't want to do that. They wanted to nerf dragons, and oh, by the way, they're also nerfing dark type and fighting type,
which
which didn't deserve that, by
didn't
the way.
need it. So okay, for this panel, I'm gonna drop Pidgeot. He was my boy when
Okay.
I first played way back when, so I'm nostalgic for him. And Mega Pidgeot also has a very cool design.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm just saying in terms of generic bird Pokemon, you can't defeat Staraptor in my estimation.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. So now we move on to fire type. And honestly, I'll be honest. I like most of the Gen 1 fire types. Charizard's cool. Ninetales has that mix of like cool and elegant. Growlithe and Arcanine are super cool. Rapidash has bad stats, but it's a cool idea and a cool design. And its shiny is like really, really cool looking.
Mhm.
Okay, Magmar doesn't do a whole lot for me, but like Flareon has a cool design. It's very fluffy. It looks very cute. It's something you keep as a
Um,
pet. And then Moltres is like a big old phoenix. So like that's cool too.
the more the less we say about Noodle's attachment to Flareon, shall we say?
Flareon is the most huggable Pokemon, etc., etc.
For me, honestly, okay, this is another thing.
All right.
Gen 1, I only played Yellow starting out.
Okay.
I played all of them later, but like Yellow was the one I played like when it was, new.
Okay.
Um, and so like I always kind of disliked Charmander just because it was always our Charmander was always kind of a little POS. Um, I know. He's really popular, and I get it. Um, honestly, I mean, in that moment, probably Vulpix, just because it was one of those like the Vulpix Ninetales line is like just generally really good, and also my little sister really loved it, so we always kind of had one on our team just because she's like, oh, it's the cute fox that also is a flamethrower and just nukes the snot out of bug type.
Yeah,
So
that is fair. I started in the red blue and got yellow. I think immediately afterward. I think I got those all three at the same time for Christmas. But all my friends were getting red version, so I picked up blue to really start. And I started with Charmander because the whole thing, like everyone went online in the early. Like for you who are too young, try to put your head around it. The internet as of the late 90s, early aughts was not what it is today. It was a
mhm.
mixture of like fan sites, GeoCities, and Angel Fire sites. I don't think those hosting services even exist anymore. I don't know if they do or don't, but sure, like you don't see them like you used to. And they were like half translated, like half falsified rumors,
Well, that's
and
because WordPress is a thing. WordPress and
yeah,
GoDaddy.
yeah.
You know what? I'm going to look it up now.
So, like, the whole thing on the playground, it sounds like, guys, you gotta pick Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur beats Brock and Misty. That makes it the best. Like, all my friends were like, dude, I gotta get Bulbasaur. And I'm like, I don't want Bulbasaur. Like, Bulbasaur's fine. I got nothing against him. But I'm like, I don't have to have one. So I started with Charmander.
So, interest of fairness, you are going to make Noodle very mad.
Oh,
Out of
really?
the 3 original starters, he actually likes Bulbasaur the most. Um, partially because of that, and also partially because it's a cute little frog thing.
Oh, no, I like all three. I think the Kanto starters
Yeah.
are all excellent choices. I really don't think you can go wrong.
Oh,
Unless you get Pikachu, in which case you have definitely gone wrong.
yeah. That actually... Okay, so I just looked it up.
All right.
So you're not going to believe this. Angel Fire still exists.
Oh, geez.
GeoCities died, though.
Okay, that's not too surprising. So I guess we know who won that war. So,
I mean, Google, but yeah.
yeah, Google. Yeah, so when I played, I had Charizard, and I always loved Vulpix. I didn't use Vulpix until I was playing Pokemon Sun. I never used Arcanine, despite the fact that I've always liked it, and I used a Ponyta very, very briefly in my playthrough of Legends Arceus. So if I have to put the chip down somewhere, I have to give it to my starter.
I used an Arcanine, but that was more in Gen 5
Okay.
because I had Samurott.
Oh, okay. Well, that
But,
checks out. So now we're about to get a whole bunch of options because.
Oh, baby. Okay, so all right. Well, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, so here's the deal. When I played Gen 1, I raised a Magikarp. I actually had Gyarados as my water type. But I'm not sure I'd say Gyarados is my favorite. I think of all of them, all available options. Design-wise, Kingler might be my favorite, but that's because I find crabs hilarious. But I have a very soft spot for Lapras. I just think it's a cool design, it's a cool Pokemon, and I'm soft for ice types. Which I think ice types get a really bad rap.
I mean, honestly, yeah. I think that it's just, and the fact that you just straight up get one from the Sylph Company, if I remember the chain of events in Gen 1, right?
I'll have to double check.
And it's like weirdly good in Gen 1 too.
So I'm putting my token down on Lapras.
Okay, for me, I mean, yeah, generally, we in yellow, usually what I did was we just got the Squirtle that you get, I want to say in Cerulean. But in a vacuum, I'd probably go Slowpoke Slowbro.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
I actually I forced myself through going through Soul Silver to use Pokemon that I had never used before.
Right.
And so I decided to go for a Slowpoke Slowking.
Right.
And my guy, I named him Ernie. I don't remember why. He was my clutch. He was always really, really solid, dependable. Dude was a little bro. And also the fact that he has the face,
the goofy face, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so now we're getting into grass types, which, now, here's a fun fact. There is only one pure grass type in Gen 1, and that's Tangela. Yep. Literally everything else is either poison or psychic. And the vast majority of them are poison.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would eventually go on to use an Exeggutor, but that wasn't until Pokemon Sun.
See, the funny thing is Exeggutor was one of those hard ones to get, but because of that, actually, it had a certain amount of appeal.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that, like, the Pokedex, I had a physical, actual, like, book Pokedex.
Right.
And I distinctly remember they're like, Exeggutor is the only Pokemon that gets worse when you evolve it. I'm like, I think that's kind of wrong, but
I think
okay.
That's objectively incorrect, but I think I had the same thing, because I distinctly remember that too.
Yeah, and so I just use it just to be a hipster. I
But
I
it's
thought that it
also
was
one of
good.
those ones that's actually apparently like super good and meta relevant.
Yeah, and so just because Psychic is so good in Gen 1,
Yeah, seriously.
and so, yeah, having a grass type that's not weak to other Psychic but is a Psychic is really, really good. Also,
Yeah.
it's a walking coconut tree. That's really funny.
Yeah, no, it's a great design. I didn't come to appreciate it till later because, like, here's the thing: you guys got to understand because of the omnipresence of poison and the completely OP nature of psychic types. I came to hate poison types until like Gen 5, and that
Mm.
meant that I hated most grass types too. So I did not use a grass type on a team until, well, technically I used one briefly in Gen 3, but really like earnestly use it not until Gen 5. That's how
Uh,
badly this bad game balancing decision ruined that type for me.
I'll say this though, the Alolan Executor, is that like the Yggdrasil dragon,
Yes.
is objectively the best version of it though. I'll say
It
that.
is. It is. It is. It is. In terms of design, I'm going to go with Parasect because I think not only is it such a horrifying concept to turn into a cute, like, put it into your cute, child friendly, mascot heavy monster collector game. Apparently, it was really OP, and Spore was like a move that got super easy. That was apparently just like super great at catching Pokemon because Sleep was OP in Gen 1.
Oh, it gets even worse. In
Really?
the original anime, the entire thing with the episode that focuses on Paris is Ash and Pikachu actually like basically do the Master Bade treatment on this little Paris in order to let it evolve. And they're like, "Wow, Paris, you did so good!" And you just see the Parasect just like with the
The dead
irisless
eyes.
eyes, just like, "Yes, yes, you have done well. I am now in control." It's like, oh no.
Oh no. So next is electric types. Uh, I'm just gonna say I hate Voltorb. I hate everything about Voltorb and its entire family. Uh, Voltorb can go self-destruct somewhere where I'm nowhere nearby. I really, really hate it. Hey guys! Here's an electric type that doesn't natively learn any electric moves. Get
It's
bent.
also stupidly fast because ball lol
Yep.
lamal.
So of these choices, I'm gonna go with Magneton because Magneton is just cool.
I have always been really fond of Electabuzz,
Electabuzz is a good choice.
even though it's hot garbage. Uh, I just really like the entire idea of just like this like electric Boncho guy.
Yeah,
Uh,
I get that. I get that. Uh,
I mean, apart from that, honestly, I'd probably say Jolteon, just because like Gary's Jolteon in yellow just um, we always got a Jolteon for some reason. I
uh,
know that you can.
yeah, it depends on if you beat Gary in the lab battle and on the battle between Viridian City and the Indigo Plateau. If you
But
lose both fights, he gets Vaporeon. If you win one and lose the other, or skip the fight at the Indigo Plateau, he gets Flareon. If you win both bouts, then he gets a Jolteon.
yes, and let me tell you, we would go into that, and we're like, it's okay. It's just a Jolteon. He can't defeat our Alakazam, at which point he pulls out Pin Missile, hits us four
Yep.
times, and we're like, oh, no.
Ironically, the best bug move in Gen 1 is best used by an electric type. Go
Yes.
fig.
Uh,
Ice types. There are not many, and this might
yes.
confuse some people.
Yes.
I'm
In
giving it
fact,
to Jinx.
I actually have something to say about this.
Do tell.
Okay, so when I was a young lad, and we actually got to the four Heavenly Kings, the Elite Four,
Right?
and I see this older redhead lady who proceeds to throw me on the ground repeatedly, and is talks about ice types. Um, let's just say I
That
might have been extremely angry and also very confused,
that
but
was your awakening, huh?
I might have yeah, but
Some something when I think of Lorelei.
Yes, but bear in mind also, I was listening to a lot of Styx at that point, so I'm getting thrown on the ground by Lorelai while I hear, when I think of Laura, and I'm like, So, yes. And honestly, Ice type, like, just kind of infuriates me, but at the same time, though, I feel bad for them now in retrospect.
I
Uh,
like ice types. It's basically ice in Pokemon is basically dumbed down fire type because the things they're strong against are almost identical to the same weaknesses that things have to fire. The only thing is ice has no defensive profile. And
I
honestly,
think the Gen 6 Ice gym leader says it best. He's like, Ice is either going to be the most difficult thing to face for you, or it's going to shatter almost immediately.
yeah.
And I'm like, no, that seems about right. And I want to say I used a timber and proceeded to just literally throw all his guys on the ground.
Yep. And
Yeah.
my choice is Jinx. And you guys at home might be like, well, Snek, that's pretty weird. And I say, screw you. Unlike Magmar and Electabuzz, who got evolved forms, Jinx did not because a very small minority of very stupid people didn't understand a reference to a niche Japanese fashion trend and were like, my god, it's my racisms. But if Jinx makes you think of ethnic minorities, I think you're the problem, not Jinx.
I want to say it's literally a Gyaru Yuki Onna.
Yeah,
That, I mean, that's like the peak. That's like peak '90s Japanese fashion right there.
yeah. So it's time that Game Freak stop screwing around and give Jinx her third evolution so she can be back into the circle with Electabuzz and Magmar. Because it's stupid that we've dragged our feet all this time pretending she doesn't exist. That's
You
that's
know,
not fair
and
to her.
and the funny thing is too,
What's that?
if you look at her N64 model in
Yeah.
Pokemon Coliseum, I want to say she literally is doesn't have a body. It's just the eyes and
Yeah,
the
the
lips.
face like is just floating there in negative space. Yeah.
Yeah. It's because she's supposed to be like an ice ghost.
Yeah.
So I mean, honestly, that's probably the best way they could approach her. But
Basically.
yeah, it's like her and Kadabra, the entire Alakazam line. Basically, they're like, yeah, because it's a reference to this one, Russian quote unquote psychic.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, he doesn't exist. Which is like, guys,
Yeah, but they eventually kind of got past that, and Alakazam's gotten like a mega form now and stuff. It's like it's time to bring Jinx into the fold. It's time for us to stop pretending that she's some oh my god racist. It's not racist. Leave Jinx alone.
yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
All right, we move on to fighting types, and again, this is one of those types that didn't have a whole lot of representation in Gen 1, so I'm not going to waste too much time. Hitmonchan. Yeah, I thought it was super cool when I was a small snack. Hitmonchan can learn Fire, Ice, and Thunder Punch. This gives him mad coverage that, like, none of which are stab, but I didn't know stab was a thing when I was a kid. So I just thought it was super cool that he could get, like, all these different elemental attacks. And I'm like, oh, he's so cool. I was, like, the only one among my friends who liked him. But, yeah, my block goes to Hitmonchan.
Okay, for me, honestly, it would probably be Primate. Now, the reason for this is because we were playing Yellow, we did not actually have access to Nidoran and either the Nidorans.
Right.
And so the only way to really get around Brock, we found, was if you go off to one side of Viridian, there is an area that has Mankeys.
Oh, okay.
And we're like, and out of desperation, we're like, okay, you're the last guy, Mankey, go. At which point, Mankey proceeds to use low kick and completely destroy his Onyx. And I'm like, what? And we discovered the absolute power of fighting type and the fact that fighting type is good against rock type. And what you know, fighting type is good against normal type. And what is the vast majority of things in the beginning? Rock and
Rocks
normal.
and normal. Yep.
And so we actually got a level 50 Primeape where we encountered Misty. So we literally did the meme of, reject modernity, return to monkey.
Indeed.
So because of that, I have always had a high estimation of monkey.
That's fair.
And
That's fair.
the fact that the modern gens literally gave him a abominable snowman megaform, I think is awesome. So.
Yep. And he has a new evolution now. He literally gets so angry that he dies and comes back as a fighting ghost type.
Oh, that too, yeah.
That is the actual story behind it. So now we're on to the near omnipresent poison typing, because Gen 1 loved poison type despite the fact that poison was a garbage typing. It was actually the biggest handicap any Pokemon in Gen 1 could have, at least in terms of casual play, because like everything had access to psychic powers, and like poison just got wrecked by a type that was already way OP. Oh, and there was a bug in the game that stopped ghost moves from actually hurting psychics at all, and there was only 2 ghost moves.
Yeah, that always confused me as a younger Dietaku when I was trying to fight Sabrina, and I actually had a Haunter, and we're like, haha, I remember this part of the anime, go Haunter! And then her Alakazam just completely destroys
Just
my Haunter, and I'm like,
boom, you're dead.
And so it literally became a Haunter versus Kadabra battle because we had no friends.
Yep.
And so we could not actually evolve our Kadabra.
Yep. No, I sympathize. Now, in terms of poison types, there was the I guess 2. The 2 Pokemon that I actually liked from the poison type of Gen 1 is the 2 Nidorans. I actually think they are really neat. I think the ground poison typing works really well. And they're just really interesting designs. Really kind of the forerunner to Pokemon having sexual dimorphism. I'm going to give it to Nidoking.
No, that's a good choice. For me, personally, I'd probably say Venomoth.
Honestly, Venomoth is a good one.
Out of the OG bugs, honestly, Venomoth is the most... bug type really in Gen 1 basically are like the Babby's beginner's trap, except for Venomoth, and because, I mean, it evolves so much later. And also, it actually gets access to a lot of really strong psychic moves.
Yep.
It kind of is basically like proto-Volcarona in a way, except honestly, Volcarona is way better.
Yeah. So anyway, next is the ground typing. Ground has a lot of good representatives. There's a lot of excellent Pokemon you could pick from here.
I have to say, my oldest little sister loved Diglett, so I kind of have to rep Dugtrio, even though the Cubone Marowak line I actually really like. The entire thing about, the baby Cubone trying to avenge its mom is just really, really sad, and also like the number of bugs that can result from that is just hilarious to me.
Now, when I first played, I actually had a Golem. Like I said, I had some friends who had the game, and one of them even had a link cable, so we were able to trade Pokemon. So I rocked a Golem. But in terms of overall coolness factor and overall likability, I'm going with Marowak.
I gotta say this, though. Gen 4, I used to really like Golem.
Right.
But Mount Coronet happened. And if I ever see a Graveler again, it'll be too soon.
That's fair.
That's all I'm going to say on that.
That's fair. We move on to the flying type. And I gotta say, flying is one of those types I'm not 100% sure why it exists. Like, it's basically functionless. But it exists, so here we are having this conversation.
Yes, and you say that, but there literally is a pterodactyl dragon dinosaur, and that is awesome. And because of that, I say Aerodactyl.
Fair. That's fair.
It just speaks to, little 9-year-old Dietaku being like, you know what's awesome? Dinosaurs. You know what's awesome? Dragons. Aerodactyl exists. Awesome.
You see, I'm
also one of those weirdos that actually did grind out and get a Dratini and evolve Dragonite. I never really learned how good it was till way later.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so. That's just me.
You see, my train of thought is not all that different, but I'm actually going to go for Gyarados. Like it really is good things come to those who wait, because getting Magikarp up to level 15 so he can actually fight on his own, and then the subsequent last 5 levels to get him to he really becomes a super cool sea serpent, that's just cool.
The problem is, though, is like, I don't know, just there's so many vor jokes around him that I'm just like, eh.
I choose not to let it get to me.
Also, I gotta say, the entire thing of the koi becoming a dragon is so distressingly Japanese that unless you're a giant weeaboo
You
like
won't
myself,
get it.
you won't get it, yeah.
Yep. So, Psychic type. This actually was a pretty small pool back in the day. Now, of all of these, again, I didn't really come to appreciate Executor until he became a dragon. So I'm actually going to give this vote to Slowbro, because he's just happy to be here, and he looks like he's having a great time.
Honestly, if we're just going with psychic types, I kind of have to give it to Kadabra or Alakazam.
All right.
But, I mean, I've pretty much used all of them to a certain extent, except for Mew, but that's just because, well,
Mew
I didn't
basically wasn't a real Pokemon, let's be honest.
I didn't live in New York or LA.
Yeah.
Game freak.
So,
Holy crap.
let's move on to bug types. Now, okay, so this is a fun story. I mentioned before I started my game with Charmander. So you might be going, well, Snek, how did you deal with Brock? Well, here's the thing. Brock's gym doesn't have any rock-type moves. They only use normal-type moves. So,
that's true. Not until Gen 3 do they get Rock Throw. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what I did is I caught a Caterpie. It became a Butterfree at level 10, and it also learns Confusion upon evolving. So then I just had it use Confusion, and my Butterfree defeated Brock for me. So
that's true.
I have a very soft spot for this status-spreading menace to society. I'm giving it to Butterfree.
Now, for me, honestly, I am one of those weirdos that actually really like the entire Scyther versus Pinsir rivalry that was going on.
Right.
That never really went anywhere. But then, so, you know, bear in mind, little 12-year-old Dietaku sees crazy dinosaur praying mantis thing that's also green.
Fair.
And it's like, this speaks to me on a primal level.
That is totally fair. I get that.
So I've always liked that one. But I mean, if we're going just general like bugs, as I said, Venomoth, but we've already talked about Venomoth, so.
So now we get to talk about rock type. And the thing, I said it before, I'll say it again. Rock and ground did not ever need to be split up into two different types. I said it, I got it out of my system.
There's a lot of that, honestly. Like they could have kept rock and ground and like ice and water.
And bug and grass really should have been the same typings. They basically have exactly the same stat spread in terms of like what they're strong against and weak against.
I can hear it now though. OMG, you literally want nature's warriors. You want this to become Digimon. Ah!
I mean, Digimon in this one respect was better organized, and it's rare that I have to, say that. Now, here's the thing. I did not appreciate Rhyhorn or Rhydon until way later. Again, I rocked a Golem, so I suspect you guys, you're going to pick Golem. Well, no. No. I just don't think Golem's all that interesting a design. Like, we already have Turtle Pokemon. We don't need another one. I'm going to give this one to Kabutops.
Honestly, Kabutops is my pick too, and that's largely because it is based off a Cambrian fossil. Yep. And I love fossil Pokemon. Yep. I think they're great. Honestly, I wish there were more of them. And it kind of bums me out that they're always kind of like the wacky gimmick that you have to choose between two.
Yeah. Yeah. So, which ghost is your favorite? The Ghastly line, or the Ghastly line?
Yeah, I think I'll have to pick the Ghastly line, especially the Gengar. I love the fact that the ghost trainer, Agatha, literally has 3 Gengars, and none of them have any ghost moves.
Nope.
They all have psychic.
Yep. So she's basically a psychic trainer. Now,
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like the entire time she's making like weird, suggestive flirts at you while dissing Oak, which I just think is funny.
so I will tell you something, a bit of interesting trivia about Ghastly. It actually has musical talent. Yes, you see, Ghastly is actually its family name. Its actual given name is Rick. And it's never going to give you up, or let you down, or run around, or desert you. Ghastly.
That pun was ghastly.
So, once again, which dragon is your favorite? Dratini, bigger Dratini, or orange Dratini with arms?
I think I have to say HR Puffin stuff. I think that guy's legit. Actually, that's literally what we named our Dragonite, which just kind of shows you, how old my parents are.
I'm going to say, I think it's a little bit of a shame that Dragonite just completely changes color. Like, these don't even look related once you get past Dragonair. So I'm actually going to give the vote to Dragonair just because I think it's the coolest design of the family. Literally, all Growing Wings did is make it 4 times weak to ice. So,
okay, so let me ask you a question then.
Sure.
If you look at it and you painted it blue, would that be any different then?
Maybe not significantly. It just feels really weird that it completely changes color palette midstream.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
So, technically, Gen 1 had no dark types. So, it literally just gives us a whole bunch of glitches instead.
Okay, well, in that case, I'd probably have to go with the Sylph Tower Ghost.
Okay, that's a good choice. I'm going to give it to M. Because, I wasn't going to get 99 rare candies and 99 Master Balls any other way. So, there was literally only one steel type in Gen 1, and technically it wasn't even that. Now, there was an interesting glitch because you could unlock time travel in Gen 2. In Gold and Silver, you could trade Pokemon to Gen 1. But it came with a couple caveats. Certain moves couldn't be transferred and certain Pokemon couldn't be transferred. So if you took a Magnemite or a Magneton and moved it from Gen 2 to Gen 1, because Steel didn't exist, it would come out as a Fire Electric type, which actually makes it much, much, much worse.
The funny thing is, too, you just... You remember when Game Freak actually did things that were like not player hostile?
Yeah.
You remember, Professor?
Yeah, I remember.
Because I don't.
So,
it's my boy.
So once again,
or my girl? Question mark.
Technically it can be either.
I think 95% of Clefairies are female, so
something like that.
Yeah. So I have to give it to Clefable.
I agree. Mr. Mime offends me on principle, so Clefable. So now we literally just get to pick from the starter options.
The creepy Harlequin Pokemon,
yeah,
offends you.
It offends my sensibilities. So the next is starter Pokemon. Now, Gen 1 is kind of a unique case because when you consider Yellow version and Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, which were Gen 1 remakes, it actually has a lot of potential starters. Comparatively to any other game.
Okay, I have to give it to Eevee just because Noodle would probably give me a look of Dietaku. You have to, and I'm like, yeah.
You know what? That's fair. And honestly, I like Eevee a lot too. So we're going to put Eevee in this slot. So,
okay.
Now we get to consider all the gimmick forms that Gen 1 Pokemon were ultimately given. This includes Megas, Gigantamax...
I'm just looking at movie Meowth over there. You're like, hey, buddy.
Hey, guys. I think that's the Gigantamax Meowth, which is distressing, honestly.
I kind of like cool... Well, there's Lapras and then there's cool Lapras.
Yeah. And there's also Kingler with a great big beard.
I really like I'm trying to look like I'm adult, so I can walk into the R-rated movie Eevee over there. He's like, yeah, I'm 18.
Can't you see how I'm puffing out my chest and look very big?
Yeah.
There's some pretty good choices here,
I
actually.
kind of have to give it to movie Meowth though.
Yeah,
That is a design.
this
That
form tickles
is a
and
design.
horrifies me. So now we get to pick from legendaries, of which there are only 5. And ultimately, um, I like the legendary birds. I think they're pretty neat. I think Mewtwo is super overplayed, and he's just reused Gygus concept art. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna rep my team from Pokemon Go and put Zapdos.
For me, it would have to be Articuno.
Good choice. Good choice.
Articuno literally not only defeated Giovanni for me, but it defeated Lorelei because Lorelei could not, basically had to rely on trying to freeze my Pokemon in order to defeat them.
Yep.
So, yeah,
So
good stuff.
the last column, we now get to pick a absolute favorite from Gen 1.
Well, clearly it's, M.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly it's, I mean, I don't know. You know what? Yeah, M. I mean, we're not going to get 99, Master Balls otherwise, right?
That's true. That's true. And while there are many excellent picks here, M will take the trophy for Gen 1. So.
Which is the Zalgo thing, or just, the entire screen just starts melting.
Aw, was it worth it? Yes. 99 rare candies and 99 Master Balls were, in fact, worth it. So, we move on to Gen 2, and a whole new slew of uninteresting normal types. Yay!
But there's Porygon 2 there.
There's Porygon 2. There's Blissey, who is the bane of many Pokemon trainers' existence purely because of its ridiculous defense stat.
Miltank.
And Miltank, who destroyed me in my first attempt at that gem when it just kept using Rollout over and over and over again. Little Snek was not prepared for that.
Little Snek was not prepared for a thick lady to roll over.
No, Little Snek was not emotionally mature enough for that discovery yet. So, in honor of that, I will give it to Miltank.
Yeah, that's a good pick. That's a good pick.
So fire types.
Honestly, I mean, I actually really like the Macargo line. I like the entire idea. Also, its original Pokedex entry is hilarious because they're like, it's 10 times hotter than the surface of the sun. It's like, are you sure about that?
Are you positive about that? Okay, the unpopular opinion time. Gen 2 was wasted potential incarnate, and I hate the Gen 2 starters. They are all terrible. Magby is dumb. Gen 2 did not need to be the baby generation, but it chose to be. Houndoom and Houndour are not that interesting, and they're not even Johto Pokemon. You can't find them until you return to Kanto.
As I understand it, the entire thing with that was that out of the original 200 Pokemon, Magby and Houndour were basically cut in order to allow them to make the first gen.
Yeah.
They were planned to be part of the original 200. They just couldn't fit them into the original cartridges.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why they are the way they are.
Oh, and here's another unpopular take. I think the legendary dogs are super boring.
Agreed.
They are not particularly well designed. They're monotype. They don't do anything interesting except annoy the player by running all over the map. Wandering legendaries are one of the worst gimmicks a Game Freak has come up with, and that's saying something.
Yes.
But I unironically like Magcargo. I actually think it's a neat idea. So, well done.
Oh, so the snail, the fire snail is, unanimous then. Wow.
Indeed. So next are water types. And I gotta say, Gen 2 is a little bit of a mixed bag. If I had to pick which Gen 2 starter was the least terrible, I would give it to Feraligatr.
Okay.
It's still not really good, but it's still the least bad.
All right. I gotta say this.
All right.
This is also another nod to my bro.
All right.
This is going to be some deepest Noodle lore for all you Tomo Bro scholars out there. when Noodle was very young, his family name was Whooper. So bear in mind when he's very young and he gets gold, and he sees this little axolotl thing called Whooper, you can understand that he took to it. And the fact that Quagsire actually has really good typing. It's not
Yeah,
particularly the best in terms of stats, but its typing is really good. So I kind of have to give it to Quagsire. Also, the fact that Clodsire is just adorable
it's pretty
only adds to
hilarious.
that. So, yeah.
Also, Quillfish, Corsola, and Remoraid are terrible. So yeah, no, I agree. Quagsire wins. So grass types. I basically hate every single Pokemon on this list. I don't like any of them.
I don't like any of them either.
Of the ones on this list, the one I find the least offensive is probably Bellossom, a branch evolution of a species that already had 3 forms, but whatever. It's the least offensive. That's about the best Gen 2 can hope for. Moving on.
Yeah.
Electric type.
Okay. So this one, I gotta say, Ampharos. I actually really like the Maripline,
I
and
agree.
I'm kind of bummed that the special split actually made it kind of bad.
I actually agree on both counts, actually. Mareep was my electric type when I played through Gen 2, so it's Ampharos.
Also, I like the fact that the Gen 6 version made it into a hair metal rocker.
When it gets its
Um,
mega, yes.
yeah, and so they made it into a goofy pun by making it Electric Dragon,
Yep,
because its Japanese name, I want to say, is literally Danryu, which could be read Electric Pulse or Electric Dragon.
nice.
And
Next
so,
up
yeah.
is Ice type. And I don't know if this choice will surprise anyone or not, but I actually really like Piloswine. It's a neat design. It looks tired all the time, so I sympathize with it. And it's just kind of a neat little guy. I like him.
All right, so Professor, how do you feel about Mamoswine then?
Mamoswine, I think, took everything that was great about Piloswine and just improved it.
Oh.
I genuinely like Mamoswine, but he doesn't show up for another 2 generations.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Honestly, I like Sneasel and Piloswine. They're both good.
Hmm.
I tried to like Delibird, but it's just
It's a
awful.
gimmick Pokemon. It's not good. And Smoochum was basically just literally Jinx 0.5. And don't get me wrong, I've raised one before. I did a challenge run of White 2 with Smoochum as my starter. And you
You
know what?
can
I actually liked it. I liked it just
you
fine.
you can thank Dietaku and Noodle from 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. Fighting, this one's easy. It's Heracross. This Heracross is super cool.
It's because is it because it's literally Beaklon the fighting Pokemon?
Yeah, I mean, basically it is, but I think rhinoceros beetles are just a cool design. Which is why, you have to say it like 6 times in order to summon heaven, apparently.
And this is the
Also,
reason why Kabuto is the best of the Common Riders. Am I right?
Tyrogue is a bad design. They didn't need another baby. And Hitmontop's like okay. I don't hate Hitmontop, but I don't really like it.
You know, considering the amount of work you need to get him on top, it is really not worth it.
No. So, Poison. I don't really like any of these Pokemon. I'll be honest.
I gotta say, I out of them, I have to say Golbat, but I hate the Zubat line such that I'm like, I kind of want to give it to Spinarak, if only because I'm like, you're not Golbat.
That's Crobat, but yeah, Spinarak is actually kind of cute. So it wins by design. Ground type. This one's actually kind of hard because there's a lot of actually really good Pokemon in here. Like, I actually
Oh yeah, that's
raised a.
right. Tyranitar isn't actually a ground type.
Yep.
I guess Piloswine. Or
Pi-
no,
See,
I
here's
mean
the thing.
Quagsire, I guess.
I would actually lead Donphan. I think
Really?
it's just like a really cool design. It's like an armadillo elephant thing with boar tusks. Like, I don't know. Something about him just speaks to me on a primal level. I also really like Steelix, but I don't know. Donphan's just kind of cool.
Yeah, that's not a bad choice.
Right, flying types. So we kind of run to
I
that problem again.
I actually really like Satu as a design. I know it's hot garbage, but
You know what's actually
okay. All right. So just so you're aware,
Sure.
Everyone, this is going to be some Dietaku, deepest lore.
All right.
I live to the northwest of Sneckburg. There are a lot of totem poles where I live. And so having a totem pole Thunderbird as a Pokemon is actually really cool. It's just a shame that, like, Future Sight, its, like, big thing is such hot garbage.
Yep.
But it's so cool looking. And I want to say one of its later the models in, like, Gen 6 onward actually has it, like, flying. And it looks really, really cool.
Actually, I agree. Xatu would be my pick, too. The only one that even comes close is Yanma, and honestly, it doesn't become cool until it gets Yanmega, but again, that's 2 generations from now.
I mean, I really like the Togekiss line, but, I mean, that's honestly more in Gen 4 when it gets the super jet plane mode, so
Yeah.
shrug.
Also, controversial statement, Skarmory is super, super, super overrated. It's not that good. Stop hyping it up like it's the next best thing since sliced bread.
Agreed.
Also, another hot
Agreed.
take, I don't like the Gen 2 legendary birds. We didn't need more legendary birds, and I just don't think they're all that interesting.
And honestly, Murkrow doesn't get good until it becomes a Italian gangster.
Yeah,
so.
Honchkrow, yep.
Yeah.
So, Psychic. This one's a little bit of a CF thanks to Unknown being here, but...
Okay, so as much as I really like my boy Slowking, I kind of have to give this one to Espeon personally. But that's just because it's Noodle, and Noodle literally, this is like, Espeon is his favorite Pokemon, period.
Okay, here's the thing. You got to understand is I played Gens 1 and 2. I dropped out. I quit caring. Because honestly, Gen 2 was such a huge disappointment for me. And then I picked up this little thing, you might have heard of it, called Pokemon Coliseum. And your starters are an Espeon and an Umbreon. And they're awesome. So yeah, it's Espeon. No questions
Pokemon
asked.
Coliseum is absolutely fantastic. In fact, if anyone ever wonders the reason why, you guys, the viewer, are called Jimmy to this day, it's because of this game called Pokemon XD Coliseum of Darkness.
Gale of Darkness.
Yes, Gale of Darkness.
Gale of Darkness,
and
yeah.
it's because of us playing that game at 2 a.m. that we...
We named the main character Jimmy, and for some reason we read his name twice, and then his sister Jovi became Jovi. And we just rolled with it the entire game. We did not stop.
And so we're like, oh, Shadow Lugia, we gotta stop him, Jimmy, yeah!
Alright, so next up is Bug type. And most of these are hot garbage, but you know who isn't hot garbage? Caesar.
I was about to say, I'm actually going to be a complete 100% normie and just go Scissor is the best.
It's a good design.
It's incredibly overrated, but at the same time, I'm like, it's overrated for a reason, and that's because X-Scissor is cool as heck, bro.
Sometimes the majority can be correct about something, just not often. The next up is rock types. And I actually forgot Corsola was rock type. That's very interesting.
I actually really like Tyranitar. I know it's we have Godzilla at home, but I actually really like it.
No, I'm in the same boat. Actually, one of my best Pokemon in my Pokemon Go file is my Tyranitar. It's a female that I named Tyra. So, yeah. So, Ghost. Who's your favorite Ghost Gen 2 Pokemon? Because I hope it's this one, because that's literally your only choice.
Oh, you mean a Pokemon that doesn't get an evolution until Gen 4, like 15 other Pokemon?
Yeah. Speaking of, Dragon, you only have one choice. So, Dark type, gotta be Umbreon. No questions asked. It was my first Dark type Pokemon. It was my Gen 2 evolution. No regrets. I love this little guy. Just deserves the head pass.
What are your thoughts on them making Bite and a bunch of other formerly normal moves into Dark?
See, I think to some degree it was inevitable. And I get the idea, because like in Japanese, Dark type is evil type. It's supposed to be like dirty, underhanded tactics. So like you just go up and like instead of like punching them, you just like take a big bite out of their jugular vein. Like, okay, I get it. Like I think to some extent
steal their snorkel.
It's like, to some extent, it's inevitable, and like some of it had to happen. I think the only thing that kind of became a problem is that bite is like an omnipresent move across a ton of Pokemon. So in a way, it actually kind of like nerfed the impact that Dark was really supposed to have, because Dark and Steel exist as a counterbalance to Psychic. But once Psychic was kind of reevaluated and Bug and Ghost quit being hot garbage constantly, like it became kind of an overcorrection. So then they overcorrected their overcorrection. Now Dark and Steel are kind of like functionless because everything just trumps them. It's
Well,
actually very frustrating.
honestly, I kind of like the way it was in Gen 6 when or Gen 5 when Steel was basically like the tank type.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, now everything kind of ignores that. It's such a CF.
So there were only a handful of steel types, so it's not too difficult for me to make this judgment call because it's Steelix. Steelix is super cool. It's Mega even more
I
so.
would I would have just said Scissor again, but
But
that's just because Scissor is so freaking cool.
both are good choices. Both are good choices. Fairy, there are a couple different options here, and of these, I don't really like any of them, but the one I hate the least is Azurel.
Honestly,
So
would have said Togepi, but that's just because its evolution is a jet plane, and that's cool.
that's
Yeah,
fair.
jet planes are cool.
So as I said, the least terrible Gen 2 starters for Alligator.
Yeah, yeah.
So, in terms of gimmick forms, there is no contest. It has to be Mega
Gen,
Ampharos.
Genryu, the hair metal band.
Now, don't get me wrong. I think all the rest of these designs are also really good, with maybe the exception of Houndour, who is super over designed. But all the rest of them are great.
Yeah, I feel like honestly, honestly, that Genryu needs to have autographs turn up the radio.
That's fair. That's fair.
Uh,
So, all these legendaries are terrible. I don't like any of them.
yeah,
So, if I absolutely had to pick which one was the least terrible, maybe it would be Intake. It looks like he has a big bushy mustache, and that's kind of funny.
for me, I'd probably say Ho-Oh, if only for the fact that it literally was that Pokemon from the very first episode
Yeah.
that they very clearly were trying to, like make a point of, and then they proceed to just completely like drop it.
Yep. Like
So,
immediately.
yeah.
So, favorite for Gen 2. There's a couple of good contenders here. This is not like as bad a roster as you might think. Of all of them, got to give it to the glam metal. I'm giving it to Mega Ampharos.
I'd have to give it to Espeon. I that's
Again,
just me.
very good choice. I would
I
not
mean, if it was
deny
me
that.
personally, I would probably agree with you. I love Ampharos as a design, and I love the fact that the Mega, I brought back its hair, which I thought was like the serious misstep. Um, but yeah, so
Right. And now the gen that brought me back to the games, because Gen 3 is
honest,
fantastic.
honestly, I think Gen 3 really was it should have been what Gen 2 was because it actually like filled out a lot of things. Like it actually made Dragon type like its own thing apart from just Lol Lamau, the Dragonite line.
Yep. So, of the normal types, I don't like most of them. I'll be honest. I just don't. Uh, if pressed, Skitty. Because it's cute,
I
and if I lived in the Pokemon world, I would keep one as a pet.
I actually really like Slacking.
Though
Oh,
Slacking is hilarious.
I know that it's a meme, but the entire thing of it's this hugely powerful guy, but he just doesn't act, I think is really funny. And so,
The
yeah,
funniest thing is, like, there was an interview with the devs, and they were like, "Oh, well, we need to explain Vigoroth because it's kind of like Odd Man Out. It's like, you know, its base form is like the lazy person who's not trying. Vigoroth is it finally decides to exert itself, and then Slacking is when it realized it wasn't worth it." And I was like, "That is hilarious. I can't
oh my
help it."
god, it's literally me, FRFR.
So, Gen 3 does not have many fire types, but honestly, I like them all with the exception of, Cast Form, because Cast Form is a gimmick who just sucks.
Okay, hot take time. Blaziken is overrated. Blaziken is super overrated. and it really like set a bad tone for fighting the fire starters going forward.
I get the argument. I'm going to argue that I think it is on its own in a vacuum a good design. It's a neat concept, even if it comes from a really weird place, because apparently, like, Torchic and Combustion were like supposed to be like ugly or something, or the designer said something like they would dye chicks during festivals, and so like their baby down would be like weird exotic colors and try to sell them. But then like when they grew up and their actual coats grew in, they turned ugly or something. Some weird, very Japanese thing. I think Blaziken on its own is fine. I don't think the flaws of the following couple of fire starters are its to shoulder. Is it overrated? Probably.
I have to say, for me personally, the Camerupt line, just for the fact that, first off, camels are cool.
That is true.
And the entire thing, the fact that it has the combination of the fact that it's a camel and they made the hump into a volcano is so hilarious to me, to the point that the Gen 2 starter, I forget his name, literally stole...
Cyndaquil?
Yeah, they literally stole Eruption, Camerupt's like signature move, and I'm like, that you stole the one thing that Camerupt had, Cyndaquil. Why did you do that?
Camerupt is fantastic. I'm going to admit a slight bit of bias here. I'm, kind of in that weird sort of reptile family. I got to give it to my boy Torkoal. Everyone overlooks Torkoal, and like I'm not saying he's a good Pokemon. Stat-wise, he's absolutely not. But it's such a neat idea. He's a living combustion engine. Like, everywhere he goes, there's just a cloud of smoke because he's constantly burning fuel and he's just chugging along at his own pace. And you know what? I respect that. I like Torkoal.
I think a lot of Pokemon, honestly, are really cool. And yeah, though, like, the stats just...
Don't
like the entire community just poo-poos on them just because they're like, "Hey, you're super OP," and it's like, "But I'm a living steam engine. I'm cool, you guys."
Yeah, I remember. I think I made a joke about that when I was doing my Let's Play of Pokemon White, because one of the hints in Lenora's library is something about like, I eat coal, my body constantly burns, and I'm like, technically all this could be applied to Torkoal, but that would involve Game Freak remembering that fire type exists. So, being Gen 3, and if my mouse will stop kirking out, we have a lot of water types to pick from. And honestly, a lot of them are really good.
So I heard you like Mudkip.
That brings me back. The Mudkip line, memes aside, the Mudkip line is fantastic. Lotad, the line is fantastic. Wailmer and Wailord are fantastic.
You're not saying that because in Pokemon Coliseum there was a meme villain that literally had an entire thing with
Maror B, yes, Maror B, and the most hula of all Pokemon. And Phoebos basically has like this ugly duckling story that comes with it when it turns into Milotic. And Spheal is adorable and turns into like a big ol' ice walrus. And there are so many good choices. It's really hard to narrow it down. But if held at gunpoint and forced to pick, I would go with Wailord, because whales are freaking cool.
Whales are freaking cool. For me personally, I'd say probably Mudkip's evolution.
That's fair.
Honestly, Mudkip is one of my favorite starters.
That is an excellent choice.
Aside.
I get that. So, grass type. Again, there's a lot of good choices. Lotad's line is great. Seedot's line is great. Roselia is a great Pokemon. Cacturn is pretty good. Cradily. Tropius is a good design, even if I don't like the Pokemon itself.
I would really say Cradili's evolution, just because it actually is based off a Burgess Shale Cambrian filter feeder. I know it's hard garbage, but once again, it's a fossil, and fossils are cool.
It has a typing that's kind of hard to work around. It's actually pretty dangerous, being grass rock.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if chosen, got to give it to Ludicolo, the most hula of all Pokemon.
You're just saying that because Marora B's theme is just...
it's too good.
Funky.
So, unfortunately, there's only one electric type in Gen 3, so...
Yeah, it's a funny thing about that.
So, ice types.
Oh. See, the sad part is like I look at this and I'm like, oh, look at this, and I'm like, oh wait, no, Frostlass is until Gen
Frostlass is not
4.
until Gen 4. You know what? I'm giving it to Spheal. Because Spheal is super cute, and I like its evolutions, but Spheal is super cute.
Oh, you don't like Wilford Brimley, the Pokemon with Walrein?
Oh no, Wolverine is great. I love all of the Spheal line. But Spheal is super
I'd like
cute.
to talk to you about diabetes.
You know, if I were to keep a pet Pokemon, it might be a Spheal holding an Everstone. You just super cute. Fighting types, we have a couple different options here. I'm gonna give it to Hariyama because he is
Good
a
one.
sumo wrestler of Pokemon, and I think that is super neat.
That is pretty cool. He's like a Hawaiian sumo wrestler. Yeah,
Yep.
that's pretty cool.
So poison types. Most of these are good designs. I
I
don't
actually
really.
really like the Gulpin line. It actually gets really good in Gen 5 going forward.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm gonna give it to Roselia, just because it has like the weird blue rose, red rose motif for its hands. I don't know. I just think it's neat.
I I want to like Seviper. It really, really needs an evolution though.
It needs something.
They're probably never going to give it one.
It needs something. Otherwise, it just kind of feels like Arbok 0.5.
Hmm.
All right. Next up is ground type, and I will admit extreme bias here because I love Flygon. Flygon is my favorite Pokemon of all Pokemon, and I don't care that Garchomp exists. Flygon is better. Why? Because I like it more, and therefore Flygon is better. Fight me, nerd.
Fair. I mean, I probably would say Camerupt, but that's once again we've already established my feelings on Camerupt.
So flying. Again, there are some good flying options here. Uh, Personally, I'm gonna go with Altaria because it looks like a blue M&M grew wings, and I like it. It's cute.
For me, honestly, it would be Salamence.
Good choice.
I actually didn't realize how good Salamence was until my forced Soul Silver run, where because I had already used Dragonite, I had
Right.
already used Garchomp, and so I'm like, you know what? I want a dragon, but I don't know, and I need to use a new one. Well, there's the Salamence line. Let's try that. And I'm like, oh wow, this guy is actually really, really good. So yeah,
Understandable.
because of that, yeah, I really like Salamence, and his mega form turns him into like a jet bomber with the Majinger wings. I
Yep.
think is even cooler.
Right. Psychics. There are a lot of good psychics in Gen 3. If I had to narrow it down, I'd probably go with Metagross. It's got big metal Spider-Man.
I
Just like him.
I am a complete normie. I actually really like the Gardevoir line.
Gardevoir is good.
Uh,
Weird
fan
memes
art,
aside,
fan
Gardevoir
art aside,
is a
yeah,
good Pokemon. Yeah, it's not fair to hold the Pokemon ransom for what the fandom did to it.
yeah. And
That's my rationale.
the fact that it's like a special attack, like Glass Cannon, and then they made it even better with Fairy typing, I think that's just that. Honestly, that one is one that really makes sense. As like, here's a character who's literally called Sir Knight, whose entire thing is going out and banishing evil. I think that is perfect. So
I get it.
yeah, by the way, that's what Gardevoir's name is in Japanese. It's Sir Knight, which is funny because Gardevoir is like now this quote-unquote cutesy lady type when it's like it's not. It's a knight in armor. But shrug.
Details. Next up is Bug type. And I'm going to give it to the strangest Bug type, which is Shedinja. It's such a weird Pokemon and so easy to miss. But I think the fact that they used an empty cicada shell for a Pokemon is kind of brilliant, actually.
And the fact that they never get the whatchamacallit right, like the entire like lore about if you look into its back, the open thing, it steals your soul. And yet literally in Gen 3, it has the thing of it facing you. It shows its open
The
hole.
whole, yeah, and nothing happens.
So yeah.
Now, I'll tell you a funny story. When I first played Sapphire, I got a Surskit, and I was like, oh, it's water bug. That's really neat. There hasn't been one of those yet. When it evolves, it loses its water typing and becomes another generic bug flying type, and I was so
Mhm.
utterly disappointed. I was just like,
I
I
wanted
shouldn't have even bothered.
I wanted to like the Animalcaris fossil,
Oh,
but
Anorith?
the fact that
Yes.
yeah, it becomes a generic like dinosaur. I thought was always kind of dumb. They should have just kept it as an Animalcaris.
Just, yeah, have it turn into a bigger one. Not turn it into a generic T-Rex. So, next up is Rock type, and once again, good competition here.
I actually really like Nose Pass. I think the entire thing of it being a Maori, Easter Island statue is really funny. Also, the fact that this was basically when I was basically like leaving the anime, which kind
Right.
of shows you how long I've been watching the anime. And they literally had the entire thing of Pikachu, hit it in the nose, and it's like, no, that's not how.
Now,
Whatever.
I'll tell you a fun bit of trivia. In Pokemon Go, when a Pokemon spawns near you, they spawn so they're facing you, except
Mhm.
Nosepass. When Nosepass spawns in, it points true north.
Wow.
Yep, random but true facts. You know what? Nosepass is pretty funny. I'm gonna give it the award to him. It is pretty amusing, especially given that his evolved form is the same but more.
It literally is a mother enemy.
So, Ghost type. We finally have something we can pick from, and my personal favorite will always be Sableye.
I actually
Sable.
really like Dusclops personally.
No, Dustclops is great, but you got to understand when again getting back into Sapphire was I got into Sapphire late. Like Emerald was already out when I picked up Sapphire, and I remember getting to the cave where you can find Sableye, and I was just like, it just has this little grin on its face at all times, like it's constantly up to mischief.
You know it's based off of the Dover Goblin
Yeah.
cryptid, right?
Yes. And I
Oh, I
saw
was about to
that
say,
I saw that little grin, and I was like, you and me are going to be buddies. And I used it
wait,
my entire run through Sapphire.
it was at that moment that Dietaku had to wonder if he was, that was the reason why he actually had the job that he has at all right now.
It's a good question. So again, Gen 3 introduced actual dragons. You didn't have to just be like a dragon, a Dratini evolution, or a Gen 1 or given a Mercy evolution. You could actually have your own identity. And honestly, all of them are great. I really don't think you can go wrong with this choice. Now, it's Flygon. I'm not apologizing. It's Flygon.
I mean, once again, for me, it would be Salamence, but,
Fair.
Flygon is a good choice. Flygon is absolutely great.
Yep. So next up is Dark type. And again, you have a lot of excellent choices to pick from. I
Out of
don't.
all of them, for me, it'd probably be Sharpedo, just because sharks are
Sharpedo.
cool.
Sharpedo is very neat. I'm gonna give it to Crawdont because crabs are cool. I don't know. I like that they gave him a big star on his head. I don't know. Something about that just kind of completes the look for me.
He is a crab star runner.
He is. Steel. There are so many good steel types. I'm gonna go Aggron.
I actually really like the entire idea with the Metagross line, where it literally is just the guys like combining together to
Yep.
form
Progressively bigger mech.
Yeah.
Yep. No,
Honestly, I really like that. I would probably go with Metagross in that regard.
excellent choice. I like Aggron. It just looks like a cool, huge dinosaur. It's kind of like what Rhydon was shooting for and didn't quite reach till out of Gen 4. So next up we have fairies. And Meryl did not need a baby form. I don't know why that thing exists. I'm going to give it to Gardevoir. Sir Knight. For starters, I am basic. I am going to hand the win to Blaziken. I'm sorry, I maintain what I said. I don't think you can fault Blaziken for the sins of later games. But now we get the interesting choice, because a lot of Gen 3 Pokemon got Megas. Like, a
I
lot.
I actually really, really like a lot of these, but I kind of have to give it to Fabulous Gardevoir.
Mega Gardevoir is a good choice. And I'll admit, I'm kind of torn, because honestly, I think most of these are great designs. Mega Sableye cracks me up. Mega Altaria is just like a cloud that got lost. Mega Metagross is basically just Metagross, but he's just like, come at me, bro.
Metagross woke up and decided to choose violence.
And then you have like Mega Rayquaza. It's just like, oh, that's such a good design. That looks so cool. Look at this thing. And the primals are also great, even if it's just kind of like the same but more. But I think it works.
You kind of realize that Game Freak really should have just had an additional evolution and just allowed Megas to, be a thing. But, that's hard work, guys. We don't like having to balance things. That's
why we're just going to, take that bolt off and then bolt on a new gimmick that sucks much, much worse. Terrestrializing is stupid, and I hate it. So I'm going to give the win to Mega Rayquaza. Just love that design. Good stuff. In terms of legendaries, there's a lot of good choices here.
I actually really like Deoxys as an idea.
Oh, yeah.
Also, the entire thing of it being an alien and the fact that Rayquaza is this like cosmic dragon goes out of its way to bully it. And that's like basically the entire story of, Gen 3. It's literally Rayquaza being like, hey, stop fighting, you two. You need to fight aliens.
We gotta fight aliens. I'm gonna give it to Groudon. I like Groudon. You might think I might go Kyogre because blue is my favorite color, but I don't know. I like Groudon. He looks cool.
You literally live right next to the surface of the sun, so I mean...
Yeah, So I think we all know what my choice here is going to be. There's really no two ways about it.
Oh, here, shocked. Raise your hands.
All right.
Joke's on you. We can't see.
Now for Gen 4. Gen 4 as a set of games sucks. But I will say, Gen 4 has some really good Pokemon designs.
I agree.
So I'm actually going to hand this, and I know it's a meme choice, but okay, hear me out. Lopunny. One of the first... Okay, in Legends Arceus, there are giant versions of Pokemon moving around the map. I forget what word they use for them. I call them Titans, which is not the word that the game uses for them. The first one I encountered that I could actually catch, because the first one was Rapidash, but the second one and the first one I could catch was a Titan Lopunny. And I was like, you know what? I'm going for it. I'm going to do something completely out of the ordinary. I'm going to add a normal type to my team, and I'm going to make it work. And she was actually crazy strong. I actually named her after my friend Bunnysaurus. And I was just like, that way I have one of my friends with me, and it's funny. And then I dedicated myself to making a team of nothing but Titan Pokemon for the remainder of my run through that game. And honestly, it really grew on me. I like Lopunny now, so go fig.
For me, it'd probably be Staraptor.
Good choice. Good choice.
Out of all the generic burbs, the one that literally has close combat as a native move, I think is probably best.
There's something to be said for that. Guys, what's your favorite fire type in Gen 4? Is it the good one or all the bad ones?
Okay, now this is going to sound incredibly hypocritical, but I suppose if I didn't have double standards, I wouldn't have standards at all.
Fair.
My my starter in Diamond, which is the one I played initially, was Infernape. So
same on both counts, actually. And honestly, of these designs, it's the only one I actually like.
You have double standards too.
Yeah, I know, right? Now, water. I don't know if this will surprise anyone or not, but I really like Gastrodon. And my Gastrodon was actually a pink one, so I kind of have to favor my little buddy, my little sea slug buddy. I named mine Shelley Duvall because I'm punny.
You are definitely something. For me, I mean, honestly, I really like Bibarel. Just Bidoof and Bibarel are just so useful. Also, I mean, I am shocked that you did not mention Bidoof earlier, just because I remember your review of Gen 4 back in the day basically ended with you just going doof and doing this
Oh yeah,
stupid
colon
colon
capital B,
B.
so you could make a Bidoof smiley. It's
Yes,
like it's so dumb that it wraps around to being great. How could you not
yes.
like this little weirdo?
And also, who can remember physical, emotional, Justin with Subaru?
Yep. So this one actually has a lot of good grass types, like a lot of good grass types. I like a lot of these. I'm actually going to give the win to Torterra. This big old
Actually, really like Abomasnow.
yeah,
The entire
Abomasnow is a great
idea of
choice.
a Christmas tree abominable snowman is just really funny to me.
It is,
So
and plus the Ice Village was probably my favorite place in Gen 4, so I get it. Electric. For me, easy. Magnezone. Magnezone is my
uh,
favorite electric Pokemon, bar none.
I actually really like Luxray.
Good choice.
So
Good choice.
yeah.
Ice types. This is tough because I like Frostlass and I like Mamoswine. But between the two, I'd probably lean Mamoswine. Mamoswine is
Honestly,
cool.
I actually really Frostlass. I like pretty much all of them, but once again, in the same run of Soul Silver that I ran with Salamence, I had a Frostlass as my
Right.
ghost ice, and yeah, she was really frail, but she came out in the clutch in a lot of ways, so that's my pick for that.
I'll tell you a funny one. One of my Titans in Legends Arceus was a Titan Frostlass.
Oh wow.
Yep.
They're actually really small, so that's kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, no, the Titans get really, really big. So, fighting type, it's going to be a rerun because I don't like most of these designs. So, Infernape.
I Okay, so you want to know something funny?
Do tell.
So when I decided to do my Soul Silver run, I decided to have a Krogunk, just because I'm like, oh, I need a fighting poison type. That'll cover a lot of bases.
Yeah,
And it was a girl, and it was modest, which meant that it would actually improve physical attack or special attack.
right.
And so I go, oh, I have this move, a special fighting move, Focus Blast. I'm
Whoops.
gonna just pause here while all the people who know what Focus Blast does will stop laughing. And so let me tell you, she was really good when she hit. And let me tell you, I learned very quickly that, oh yes, 80% accuracy. Don't worry, guys, that's almost 100.
It is
Not
not
according to
100.
let me say, I averaged about, oh, she killed things when she hit. And out of 5 PP, I usually would average about 1 good hit.
That checks out.
Honestly, I got more out of her Mud Blast move that she got, or Mud Bomb,
Right.
than Focus Blast. I like her, but honestly, it was one of those, like, you kind of had to have been there, roller coasters of, like, when she did good, it was really good. But when she failed, man,
It failed hard.
you really felt it, yeah.
All
So
right. Poison type. I
I have to give it to Toxicroak on that one, just for that reason. I know Skuntank is really good, especially considering it gets Flamethrower and Fire Blast, but just because of my own personal anecdotes, I have to give it to Toxicroak.
that's fair. I don't have a strong opinion on the matter, I'll be honest. So Toxicroak is as good as any. So, ground. Uh, there is a lot happening here, and is a lot to pick from. Uh, because
I
I picked a couple of these already, even. So,
I was about to say I know what you're probably gonna do. I unironically really like Garchomp, if only for the fact that even in Gen 6 when they're like, no, guys, Fairy is here now. Garchomp isn't good anymore. And so I proceeded to put Poison Jab on my Garchomp and go, lol, Lamau.
you know, it's a fair cop. Garchomp was my dragon and slash ground type for my run through Gen 4.
Okay, bear in mind the entire reason why I did it was I saw Gibble. And it was just like, ah, and I'm like, oh, look at him. He's like, he thinks he's a threat. It's so cute. And then he
Ah,
transformed into that thing, and I'm like, oh, wow.
well,
That's actually kind of scary.
maybe he was onto something.
Yeah, so that's why I like him.
So, flying type.
I actually really like Vespiquen. I know it's not very good, but it's one of those like unique, like interesting gimmick Pokemon
You know,
that I really wish they did more of.
I do have to agree. Actually, Vespiquen was my ringer in my Pokemon Scarlet run through because you could actually find her at a significantly higher level than the Pokemon who were in the immediate vicinity. So it was a big risk to catch her, but it was totally worth the effort. And so I've always had a soft spot for her.
It actually required you to get one in your Pokemon White run.
Um, Not white. It was actually white 2 because that's when I randomized the game and Combi showed up relatively early. And you were like, hey, Snek, you have to find a female. And I'm like, why? And you're like, males don't evolve. And I'm like, what? Also, they like it's like a 85 to 15% ratio or something skewed like that. And I was like, oh, okay, great.
This is what happens behind the scenes, ladies and gentlemen.
My friends like to give me challenges, and I'm not, I'm too foolhardy to say no. Now, Psychic, I don't really like any of these, with the exception of this big bronze bell boy right here. The
I
rest of these
actually really
guys all
like
kind of suck.
Gallade. I actually really
Well,
like Gallade,
yeah, you know what,
but
Gallade is fine. I actually don't have a beef with Gallade, but everyone else sucks.
yeah, the Lake Guardians are not good. I'm
They're
sorry.
everything bad about the legendary dogs from Gen 2, except worse. So, bug type. I'm actually going to give this to Yanmega because I just think it's cool because it's a giant prehistoric dragonfly, and those are cool.
Also, it gets speed boost, and that's really cool.
Also
I'd
true.
have to give it to Vespiquen again, personally, but I mean,
That's fair.
yeah.
That's fair. Rocks.
Oh,
Most of these are good choices, except for Bonsly. You can go away.
I the Pachycephalosaurus one was my personal favorite.
Oh, Cranidos. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm actually going to go Rhyperior. Rhyperior for a very long time was also the best Pokemon I had in my Pokemon Go file.
Wow.
And
And watch as, a bunch of the meta people are like, but he's subjectively worse than Rhydon.
d-
Why?
don't
Why, Snick? Why?
don't care. Don't care is cool design. So next up we have Ghost type, and yeah, that's an easy one for Frostlass. Drifloon is one of the worst designs for any Pokemon ever. I don't feel bad
I
saying it.
I like Spiritomb as an idea, the entire idea of like a cursed gravestone, but yeah, I really wish that it would evolve or something at the very
Yeah,
least.
do something with it. And honestly, the Rotom is like entirely too omnipresent throughout the series. I just don't like them.
Do you ever get the
Dargon.
sense? Do you ever kind of get the sense that Pokemon wishes that it could do Yokai Watch and just have straight up Yokai?
You know,
Sometimes I kind of wonder if that's the case.
you're not wrong. Uh, of all the dragons, I'd probably have to lean Dialga. I don't know. I just like its design. It's like half elephant, half dragon, part horse. I don't know. I just like it.
I'm a god of time. Ooh.
So, dark type.
I actually really like Honchkrow.
I do like that they gave him a hat. I think that's going to push it
Also,
in his favor.
also the fact that it has Night Slash, which implies to me that it has a little switchblade.
Well, of course.
Yeah, it learns Night Slash, which is funny to me.
So for a steel type, I got to give it to Probopass just because his face makes me laugh.
What are your thoughts on Lucario, by the way?
I do not like Lucario. I do not like the Yif Yif.
Fair enough.
It does nothing for me.
I mean, Game Freak seems to know that it's really, really popular because it keeps showing up. So
yeah. Between these two options, I suppose I would lean Togekiss.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, it's a stealth jet plane.
Yep. In terms of starter, you got to give that to Infernape. No questions asked.
I mean, I'm going to say this. The entire reason why I beat Cynthia in the first place was because of my Infernape, so...
Yeah. So, in terms of alt forms, we actually have a couple to pick from. And honestly, I still don't like Lucario, and adding more spiky bits to him does not make him that much more interesting. And honestly, I don't like Mega Garchomp. It kind of feels like a downgrade design-wise. Like too much is happening here, and I don't care for it.
While I want to say it actually does increase its physical attack, it does not increase its speed, which is the entire reason why Garchomp is good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of people are like, yeah, it's not even that good.
Yeah, so...
Honestly, I've never even used Mega Lopunny, so I can't even speak on that.
I have not used any of these, actually. None of these 5 are Pokemon that I've used in this particular state. So I think it's going to come down to design, in which case I'd probably give it to Mega Gallade, because it looks like super heroic.
Google actually had Mega Gallade on his Gen 6 competitive team that he used.
Oh, okay.
Noodle actually got really into competitive Pokemon about Gen 6, and he used Mega Gallade.
All right.
I'll have to speak
ask
on
him some questions about that.
Yeah, how he built him up. I don't think he does competitive Pokemon anymore. But,
nah, he has a life. So
and a wife now.
And a wife, yes, that's true. So, legendaries. Again, I'm going to lean Dialga.
I kind of have to give it to God on this one.
Oh, Arceus? Yeah.
I mean,
oh dear God.
I actually like, Cosmic Lemagod. It's got a cool design once you can kind of like look at it and realize what the heck's going on.
That's true, and that's fair. All right, so favorite overall. That's a tough choice, because there's some good ones on here.
I mean, I kind of have to go Infernape, probably.
Infernape would be a good choice.
I mean, honestly, I see the problem is like the main... Really, honestly, like Gen 4 is like so held back by the fact that they went, hey guys, you like cave? Do you like cave Pokemon? No, not really. Too bad.
That's all you're getting.
No, please, no. Have just an infinite number of Zubats and Gravelers. Blur.
I'm going to give it to Mamoswine. Mamoswine is cool.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Right. Gen 5. Okay, I'll scroll down again.
So I have a hot take time. Gen 5 is the best gen.
I think there's a very strong argument to be made for that. Also, they included the lady who gets turned gigantified in the movie minigame. So obviously I got to give it to her. Best normal type.
I'm kind of surprised that you didn't give it to Braviary, just, so you can be like, I have the powers of America.
No, I got to give it to the giant lady just because they actually bothered to include her. Oh, fire type. This is going to be hard. There's a lot of good fire types in Gen 5. I love Volcarona. I love Darmanitan. I love Chandelure. The rest of them, not so much, but I love those. Reshiram is great.
Personally, I would probably say Volcarona.
There's
But
a
yeah,
very
like
strong.
Volcarona and Chandelier are both fantastic.
See, the only downside is in Gen 5, you had to go really late into the game to get those. You could get Darmanitan well before them. So when I first played through White, I actually had Darmanitan pretty much from the desert going forward. So when I did my revisit for the channel, I actually had to wait till I got Chandelure. So I was like 6 or 7 badges in before I finally got a fire type.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say Volcarona is probably the coolest. Water. You know what? I have to give this one to Caracosta. I have a weakness for turtles, and it's a really cool, like, ancient prehistoric sea turtle monster. So, like, it's super cool.
No, I agree. I think it's pretty funny and really good. Also, it's a really, really useful fossil. So
Yep. So, grass, I actually have a pretty hard and fast one for this one. It's Leavanny.
yes,
Again, remember way back
yes.
at the start of this video when I mentioned how I didn't like grass types because Gen 1 turned me off to them so hard? I found
Mhm.
Sawaddle. And I was like, oh, he's such a cute design. Like, what is this? What's the deal with this guy? And he's super fast. He's like super glass cannon physical attacker. But I started using him, and I was like, oh my god, he's awesome. I love this
Yeah,
little guy.
the only thing that stops Levani from being like brutally overpowered is the fact that you sneeze on him with any of his weaknesses and he instantly dies.
Yeah, just like explodes. No
But
questions asked.
I remember you and I actually we had like I had moved away from Snackberg and we had kind of fallen out of touch, but we had gotten back in touch and you had actually started talking about Kamen Rider. And so I called mine Amazon because of that. Because literally his signature move is X scissor, much like Caesar. And so he would just slice enemies in half.
So electric.
There's your Galvantula.
You see, I love Galvantula. I also love Zebstrika. Because my first electric Pokemon through White was Zebstrika. And then I found Joltik, like way later into the game. And I was like, that's adorable. I have got to play through. So when I eventually did my playthrough for the channel, that's why my starter was, in fact, a Joltik. You know what? I'm going to give it to Galvantula. Yeah, Galvantula deserves that. Next up is Ice type, and honestly, there's not that many to pick from.
I've always thought that Vanillite is funny, if only for the fact that it was the first Pokemon, designed by an American, and literally all they're like, hey guys, let's have ice cream as a Pokemon. And yet it's always the one that people are like, yeah, Pokemon's bad now. It's like, we literally had just a circle as a Pokemon before.
I agree. And actually, Vanillite helped me in my playthrough for the channel because, like I said earlier, Ice and Fire have similar strengths and weaknesses. So having it actually helped in some spots. So next up is Fighting, and honestly, there's a lot of very good choices. You have Kung Fu Muppet, and you have Scrafty, and you have Mian Fu.
I was about to say, I kind of have to choose Scrafty, if only because it's OMG, guys, it's literally me, FR.
I get that and respect that. Poison. The only one of these I really like is Venipede, so kind of open and shut on that.
Yeah. Actually, the funny thing is, in Gen 6, when they start getting alternative secret moves, Scoliopedes is Speed Force, which is funny as snot to me. So
ground type, Crocodile, hands down. Crocodile's just cool.
Yeah, if I honestly have never used one, but that's just because my dark is Scrafty,
right?
So
that's fair.
But I can respect Crocodile.
In terms of flying, that's easy. That's got to be Sigilglyph.
For me, honestly, it was Archeops.
That's a good choice,
especially for the fact that it has Defeatist as an ability. So it literally, you nick it once, and it's like, well, guess I die, and it just completes to just collapse on itself. Which is funny because it's like it actually is really strong, but you basically have to like always like assume that like if anything hits it, it's going to immediately die.
Yeah.
So
Now, funny thing, Sigil Glyph is a 5% encounter.
mm-hmm.
I found it after like the second encounter of going into the region where it spawns in.
Mm-hmm.
And
It took me
so
2 days of playing to
I
get one in my own vial.
I didn't know this. I didn't know. So I caught it immediately, and I named mine Quetzalcoatl. And I was like, oh, Dietaku, look at this neat thing I caught. And he's like, how long did that take you? And I was like, oh, I literally found him like immediately upon entering here. And he's like, I hate you. And I was like, what'd I do? I didn't know.
Yeah.
So
I'm not a big fan of the Therian forms either, but just because you needed to use the Dream World.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, I really dislike the Dream World as a concept.
No, I'm very with you on that. Psychic type. Honestly, I don't like most of these. Like Muna's
like
okay.
I was about to say Muna's I always liked as an idea just because I think Baku is a fun mythological monster.
I don't really like Woobat. It says Zubat, but psychic instead of poison. I never got a Darmanitan who had the ability to turn into the statue. Gothita is offensive to me and all my sensibilities, and I wish I could set it on fire alongside the likes of Dunsparce. Renuiclus is just... It's an interesting idea. I just think it's a very boring Pokemon, which is kind of the same issue that LGM has. So that really kind of just boils it down to Victini, Sigilglyph, and Maletta. And
see, and the funny thing is LGM is literally an Ultra 7 alien. It literally is a guy in a trench coat trying to be like, yes, my name is you, man.
Why do you ask? So I think I'm going to give it to Maletta. So, bug. There are many good bugs, if I haven't already made that clear. In fact, I think like 3 or 4 of my picks thus far have been bugs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give it to
Gen 5 has been very, very kind to bugs.
Agreed.
Sure.
I'm going to give it to Leavanny again, just because I really, really like Leavanny. Rock types. Again, we've touched on a few of these already. So I'll tell you guys a pun that I'm responsible for. This Pokemon here is this one, the very first line, the Rock and Rolla line, turns into Boldor. And I pinged Dietaku because it was my first playthrough through White. This is literally my first time running into this Pokemon. And I show him, and he's like, oh yeah, that's Boldor. And I was like, well, I imagine it must move very slowly. And he's like, what makes you say that? And I'm like, then you can call it Boldor's Gate.
You're not even a dad, and yet you make dad jokes.
So, Ghost. It's got to be my boy Chandelure. Chandelure is...
I actually really like Confagerous. I know it's not that good, but the entire idea of human ghosts becoming Pokemon is just really funny to me.
That's fair. Dragons. There are a lot of good dragons in Gen 5.
Okay, this is my favorite Pokemon of all.
All right.
I gotta give it to Hydreigon.
You know what? I think I agree with you. One of my best Pokemon in my Pokemon Go file is a Hydreigon that I named after Hank Hill.
But, I mean, you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, I am actually blind. So here's this cranky, a cranky little monster that lives in a cave and like angrily bites anything that comes near it. And I'm like, OMG, it's literally me, FR, FR. And Noodle's like, is that because you're blind and antisocial? And I'm like, yes.
Very yes.
Very yes. But because of that, it's always had a special place in my heart. Also, the fact that it's really hard to get Hydreigon just because the level cap is so high for it.
That's very true. Dark type. Again, a lot of good choices here.
All right, I have another hot take right here.
All right.
All right, Zoroark is a fun thing, but because of its design, it is overrated as snot.
Agreed.
But I feel like we need to give it to Liepard, if only because of Vitelli.
I'm so sorry, Vitali. Vitali, I'm not sure how you say your name, but I so should have named a better Pokemon after you. So this one's for you, man. I did you wrong, and I will own that. I will carry that with me all my days as a YouTuber. So we're now on to steel types, and got to give this to Bisharp. This is basically a tokusatsu superhero as a Pokemon, and that's super cool.
Cool.
There's literally only one choice. So moving right along. In terms of starters, no doubt about it. That's got to be Samurott.
Yeah. I think you called yours Oda Nobunaga.
Yes, Nobunaga. I could only fit Nobunaga. In terms of weird variants, obviously I have to give it to the giant lady.
Of course.
And for legendary, I think my favorite is probably Reshiram. I just like him. So overall favorite, giant lady.
Giant lady.
No questions asked.
Do you think, ladies and gentlemen, do you think that Snek has a type?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Anyways, I was saying that, Team Magma did nothing wrong.
I mean, objectively true. So, Gen 6. I played Gen 6 and did not finish Gen 6. I got like the 6th badge, and I was like, this is so bad, I just have no interest in finishing it.
I actually have played pretty much I played X and Y, like almost to a competitive level. But for the life of me, a lot of these I do not remember.
I guess I'll give it to Mega Pidgeot, because he has like the Super Saiyan hair.
Yeah.
Fire. You know what? I'm gonna give it to Mega Camerupt, because he looks super cool, carrying a little like volcanic island on his back.
Yeah. Honestly, okay, this one I have to give to Greninja because he was my starter.
That's fair. That's fair.
Ironically, you would go, Dietaku, what, you didn't use Delphox? Actually, no. Noodle used Delphox.
That's fair. That's fair.
So, yeah. Frog Ninja for the win. Yeah.
Okay. I don't have strong opinions on this. I'm just going to agree with you. Greninja. Grass. Gourgeist kind of reminds me of Marzipan.
I actually really like Gourgeist, if only for the fact that there was a thing on the /VP thread, I want to say in like 2013 Halloween, where everyone was sending out pumpkaboos with rare candies for Halloween.
Oh, that's cute.
And I did that. And it was really cool. And it just, everybody was, I just kept getting punkaboos from like different, areas. And I'm like, this is really cool. And it was really wholesome.
All right. Electric. There's just so many options.
I kind of have to give it to Denryu. Yes.
Yeah.
Turn up the radio.
So, I can't actually remember. Like, it's Aurora something. I just like its design. I think it's really neat. So
I actually I preferred the living iceberg.
I know its base form is Bergmite, and then it turns into something else. I can't remember the name, but I know who you're talking about. Yes. So fighting wise, I got to give it to Bancho Panda because that's funny to me.
Yes, it's not nearly as good as I actually used it in my XY run. It's not nearly as good as I thought it would be. Out of these, I'd probably have to give it to the I forget its name, the poison seahorse.
Dragology. Yes.
Yes, just because it looks like horsey that grew up in a low-income neighborhood. It's actually really strong.
So for ground type, we also don't have a whole lot of options. I'm gonna go Mega Steelix. Mega Steelix looks cool. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
Flying type. Uh, guess I'll go with Noivern. Sounds like a lot of those are like just different colored moths.
Yes.
So Psychic. Again, we're really getting heavy into megas because this is where megas officially
Okay,
debuted.
so the magic psychic squid,
Mm-hmm.
that one
Inkay.
stands out to me. Yeah, Inkay, because the entire thing with it is you actually had to turn your 3DS upside down
Yep.
for it to evolve.
That's
And
also
that
true
is
in Pokemon Go, amusingly enough.
so honestly that would be my choice.
That,
But
yeah, you know what? Inkay. So next is Bug. Once again, we are not being given a great number of options to work with here.
I didn't really like any of the bugs.
I'm just going to give it to Mega Pinsir because it looks cool. That's the greatest sum of my thoughts on the process.
Okay,
Rocks.
I have to give it to Tyrantrum.
Yeah, that
Actually,
is a very good
um,
choice.
the Pokemon me, I actually went out of my way to dote on my Tyrantrum, and the entire thing it'll do where it's like uh, it holds on because of its love for you, and so it'll come back with 1 HP. It actually did that in the last battle, and I'm like, Tyrantrum, yes, you did it. Come on, bro, you could do it. He actually clutched it because of that, and I'm like, so my goofy T-Rex is he's has a place in my heart for that.
Nice. I gotta admit, Aegislash is a pretty cool Pokemon. So,
Yes, especially considering the entire like form change thing it'll do, where it'll go from like being a super tank to being a glass cannon.
yep.
I think is actually really cool. Yeah.
So, now we have Dargons.
So I have a confession to make.
Sure.
If I turn 90 degrees to my left, I have a plushie of a particular dragon. That's kind of a meme now because of bad fan art. But I can't hate the Pokemon because it took me forever to find it because of the fact that I was playing it so early and information was scarce.
uh,
Um,
we're talking
so
about Gumi, then.
yes, Gumi. And in fact, actually, you are the reason why I have this plushie because you got it for me for Christmas about 5 years ago.
Yep, I remember.
So yeah,
You know what? Gumi.
yeah. In fact, here, if you can hear it, I'm actually holding it right now and shaking it.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I have a little Gumi right there, right next to my little plushy Kushala Daura,
Nice.
which I want to say you also got.
Yep. So I got you, Kushaladara, and I got Chris. And you know what? I'm gonna give this one to Mega Sableye, just because it tickles me.
I see you.
I'm looking at you. Can't do anything about it.
Well, yeah, but neither can you. Oh snap! He's figured me out.
Oh no, he's on to me. Steel.
I kind of have to give it to Ager Slash on this one.
Yeah.
Like the entire
Yeah.
conceit of a possessed sword is really cool.
You know what? We'll put him in his offensive stance this time. Make it a little different.
Yeah.
Fairy. Fairy really blew up around here, but if I had to have any of these, well, it would probably be Mega Altaria, but given that
I
Mega
mean, for me,
Altaria
it
doesn't
would
get
be.
to stay that way,
I would say probably for me, it would be Mega Gardevoir.
right?
Just because, as I said, like Gardevoir is one of those few like new fairies that actually like it makes sense for them to be fairy.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good choice. In terms of starters, I actually don't really like this set of starters.
I Okay, this is a point of disagreement then. Gen 6 starters, I argue, are some of the better ones. Because the entire thing of them having the fire, water, grass one way, and then having the entire dark fighting psychic thing the other way is actually like really good. And it's like, it feels like this is what Gen 3 was trying to do, except they kind of,
You're thinking Gen 4. Gen 4 was the one that put
Gen
the
4.
second types in reverse.
Yeah, they tried to do that in Gen 4, and then they're like, actually, no, fire type's good against everything again. Again. It's like, oh, right. Awesome. But this time it actually works out. I know that, technically speaking, Greninja and Delphox are just better. And Quilladin, I want to say, is not that great. But I like them all, so...
I don't like Chestnut's design. He looks goofy in kind of a bad way. And Delphox is just kind of another generic Yif Yif, and Greninja kind of has the Blaziken problem of being completely overexposed.
You just say that because of Smash Brothers and Pokken.
I mean, yeah, but can you blame me?
I mean, no.
If I had to pick, I probably would lean Greninja's favor. Alright, so now we get to pick from a very large roster of options here. Because,
well, that's because this is when
Megas actually became a thing, yes.
Yes. I mean, honestly, for me, the one I used most was Denryu. But, I mean...
Fair.
That's just because I really like Ampharos.
Ampharos is an excellent choice.
But I pretty much used Mega Venusaur, Mega Charizard X. I never used Mega Blastoise.
Oh.
Derp. I used Mega Alakazam. I used Mega Gengar. Never used Mega Kangaskhan. I did use that Slowbro.
Yeah.
Mega Slowbro.
Yeah, because Slow King has it on his head.
I did use Mega Mewtwo Y. I did use Mega Aerodactyl. Honestly, I thought that regular Aerodactyl was better. But,
Some Megas are like that, though. That's true.
Yeah, Mega Gardevoir, because I actually did have a Gardevoir on my team.
All right.
I never actually did use Mega Salamence. I hear it's good, though. Noodle used Mega Gallade.
Okay.
And I know he also used Mega Lucario, but I don't know about the rest.
You know what?
Sorry.
I'm going to give it to Mega Rayquaza again. Still a very good design. So
got a bully Deoxys.
Yeah. In terms of legendaries, I don't really love the legendaries this generation gave us.
Hey guys, do you like the entire thing about, this very fashionable French man trying to bully an old man for the power of immortality? Yes? No? Did you not even pay attention to it? Because, like, the game basically goes 90% of it and then goes, oh, yeah, there's bad guys. You need to go take care of them.
Go deal with that for us, please. Yeah, Mega Rayquaza. I don't care.
Again.
And our favorite overall.
Aegislash. No, Goomy.
Goomy.
Yeah, all these like legendary gods are just a slug.
Little slug dragon. So Gen 7. Gen 7 had a lot of good designs and also some questionable ones. In terms of normal type, I'm gonna give it to Drampa because Drampa makes me laugh.
I actually really like the little the bear guy.
Oh, Komala. Yes.
Yes, because
he's supposed to be asleep all the time.
Well, no, actually, because in Pokemon Go, that was my very first evolution I did, and it took me forever to do it.
Oh wait, Beware?
Yes,
Oh,
beware.
Beware. Okay, okay, okay. I'm with you now.
Yes. Yeah, I know it's not technically a bear, and that's the entire thing.
Right.
Okay, so you know how you say that Greninja is overrated?
Yeah.
The Lucha Libre Fire Cat,
Oh, I should know what its
that's
name
how,
is.
yeah, I know, because you literally had it.
Yep.
That's how I feel about it. I'm sorry. I know that it's really popular. I know because it's like a Smash Brothers character, and it's in Pokken. I just
Yeah.
don't like it.
No, that's fair. You know what? I'm actually going to give this to Alola Marowak because I think that's like a really interesting way to take that design.
Uh, Fair.
All right, water. Um,
I actually, I my for Sun and Moon, I had Primarina.
Primarina
I
is a
know
good choice.
it's kind of overrated, but it. She never, and I actually got a female one, which was weird to me. But
Actually, I remember my starter was a female too. Come to think of it,
yeah,
I wonder
so
if there was a bias on that, or that could have
I
just
don't
been
know.
coincidence for all I know. I'm actually going to give it to Tapu Fini. That's because, like, of the Tapu, I think she's the coolest one. So grass, there's no way about it. It's got to be a Alola Executor. He's just happy to
Hey,
be here.
guys, I'm so high right now.
Yeah, he's like 40 feet in the air. He's very high. My favorite electric of this type was this crazy electric stag beetle. He was awesome. Uh, Kind of a pain to evolve, but I just love the design. In terms of ice
Really,
type, I gotta give it
Alola, Ninetales.
Alola Ninetales. I actually raised one in my Sun file, and I had great results with her. She was named Lady Floof. In terms of fighting, I will probably have to give it to Jangmo-o. His
Yes.
big punch dragon. He's just cool. I like him.
That and the fact that it literally has its special move, I want to say, is to rattle its scales on its back, and like the fluff is like this sound is so annoying that it causes emotional damage.
Well, of course. In terms of poison types, I don't know. I'm not really in love with any of these Pokemon.
I actually really liked the little like salamander one because it's like
Oh, yeah.
poison fire type.
Yep, poison fire, and only the females evolve.
Yes,
You know what?
which I
I'm
always thought
good for
was
him.
was kind of interesting. Oh, for this one, honestly, I actually liked a lot of them, but the entire idea of a haunted sandcastle just tickled me to no end. So I actually had to adjust my team to add one.
Now, I didn't raise any of these, but I have to give it to Doug Trio because that hair is just fabulous.
That is true.
So, in terms of flying type, I didn't have any of these, but I will.
I
I will give it to this particular Oricorio because it's just pretty, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I can deal with that.
have a confession to make. I didn't really use any of those either.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look, it's literally Peekaboo.
Yeah, we had to give it to Peekaboo. He's a poke god, don't you know?
You know, Jimmy's there is going to be like, Mom, what is a poke god?
And she'll be like, that's a word I've not heard in a long, long time.
Why don't you look it up on Angel Fire there, Jimmy?
Wait, what?
Mom, why is there this Chataka123 ABC who has a Misty X Goku?
Now, don't look at that. That's not important. In terms of rocks, I didn't use any of these either.
I actually... Okay, now I know this is going to shock you.
Oh, okay.
So
Bring
it's
it.
probably for the best that you're sitting down.
Okay.
I actually used Lycan Rock and actually really liked her. So I'm going to say that.
You know what? That's fair. Which form did you have?
Which one do you think?
The bipedal one?
Yes.
Oh gosh, there's a shock.
I know.
So
I
shocked at
know.
this revelation. I just
I
don't know
know.
what to do.
Okay, for this one, I actually really like Mimikyu. I think it's really, really funny that it's the entire thing is it's a possessed doll that's trying to be desperately wants to be a Pikachu.
It just
So
can't.
yeah. Also, its entire thing is the fact that it has a built-in substitute, and it gets fatal damage. Its head'll knock over,
Yep. And
and
it's like
the
live for
model
the
will
rest of the fight.
is actually really cool. So I just really like Mimikyu.
You know what? A little Executor again.
I'm still high, guys. Please help me down.
I'm scared up here. Dark types. Oh, there actually weren't that many dark types, were there?
I really don't like Aloha, Raticate, or I actually really like Aloha, the Aloha Muck line.
That is true. They certainly give it
Making
more
it like
color.
making it like Rainbow Neapolitan is actually a lot more interesting because it looks interesting to look at.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's see. In terms of steel typings, yeah, I will give it to Solgaleo. Solgaleo was a cool legendary.
Confession to make. I never did any of the U beasts. I just didn't ever get to that point.
I caught a handful of them, but I burned out not long after. In terms of fairy, I'm giving it the Tapu Fini again. In terms of starter, you know what? Primarina is a good choice. We're going to go with her. So in terms of weird alt forms, we have a couple to pick from. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I'm torn between Alola Ninetales and Alola Executor.
I kind of want to give it to Alola Executor again just for the meme.
Yeah, all right. We're staying the course here. So, legendary time. This one actually had like a lot of good designs.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, I don't really think you can go wrong on this one. So, I'm going to lean Solgaleo. Best overall, Alola Executor. All right.
Guys, I'm still high. Please, somebody send help.
So, Gen 8. I did not play Gen 8. The trailer was so bad that I canceled my pre-order for Shield.
I have a confession to make. I never played Gen 8 either.
But normal, we obviously have to give it to Movie Meowth.
Hey, guys.
Fire. You know what? Hisuian Growlithe is a cool design. I like that. Turns Growlithe into Growlithe and Arcanine into like a Shisha. So, if you want to put that back on my screen where I can see it.
I really like Cooler Lapras.
You know what? That's true. That's a Gigantomax Lapras, and I'm in agreement. Okay, website, can you work with me? I think I have to give it to the Apple Pie Dragon. I saw this thing a few times in my run through Scarlet, and honestly, Apple Pie Dragon is just fundamentally too funny to not pick.
Yes, that is true facts.
Electric. This is just super underwhelming, I'll be honest.
I kind of want to give it to Angry Electrode.
Oh, yes, that's
because like, angry, you guys.
That's a Hisuian Electrode. That's from the distant past when Pokeballs were made out of wood. So inexplicably, Voltorb and Electrode were also made out of wood. Don't ask. That's literally just how it was. Ice. I think I'm going to give it to Frostmoth. I just really like Frostmoth's design. It looks very comfy.
I really like the entire idea of the ice cube headed penguin thing. That seems like a monster that we would make.
I know, right? So for fighting type, I don't recognize most of this garbage.
Oh, that is the Hisui and Farfetched. There,
Oh yeah,
Surfetched.
Surfetched. It is kind of funny that he gets the Don Patch sword, so that works for me. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot about some of the Galar forms being poisoned. So, I'm going to give it to Galar Wheezing because they give him a top hat.
I like Vitiligo Slowbro.
Yeah, that one's also good. I like that. Wow, there's like barely any ground types. I guess I'll give it to Ursaluna because Ursaluna is actually a good design on a Pokemon that otherwise was rather unremarkable. Flying types. Why is that bird consuming a Pikachu? Just why is that bird consuming a Pikachu? Did I mention I haven't played Gen 8, so I don't know what's going on?
I really like the DeviantArt. Is that DeviantArt Butterfree down there at the
Yeah,
bottom?
that's Gigantomax Butterfree. You see, instead of Megas, they made the Pokemon grow really big in a form called Dynamax. But literally, all a Dynamax Pokemon is it's a really, really, really big Pokemon. And then they created Gigantamax, which is basically Mega again, but with additional steps. And it's just Dynamax, but they get a Mega form. And
Dumb.
most of them are not as good. Yeah, you know what? We'll give it the DeviantArt Butterfree.
I can only imagine they're gonna be like, OMG, you guys, why are you so ill-informed?
Gen 8 was terrible. I'll give this to Galar Rapidash, just because I like the design. Bug, I guess that's going to Frostmoth again.
Yeah.
Rock. I actually raised this one. This is a water rock turtle Pokemon. That was my first water type in my Scarlet run, and it served me pretty well. Now for Ghost. I don't recognize a good number of these. So I will give it to Dragapult because it is an aircraft carrier stealth jet dragon. It is pretty
It
neat.
sounds like a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
I know, right? Once again, Apple Pie Dragon. Dark. All of this looks like DeviantArt donut steals.
Okay, there's a character that looks literally like a JoJo character. Left side, second from top.
Oh yes, that thing. He's supposed to be based on some kind of imp or something. I think I saw him in my playthrough of Scarlet. You know what? I'm gonna give it to Hisui Samurott, who was also a water dark type.
Hmm.
Steel. Things rolling off my screen again.
Ah, yes, sir. I really desperately want to be Greninja again. Is
Yep.
that Isui Gudra
Yes,
down
it
there at the
is.
bottom?
It absolutely is. It's a dragon steel type because it actually grows a steel shell that it carries around on its back.
Okay, you need to do that, if only for the fact that it is the evolution of Gumi.
That's fair. So this is fairy types. I forgot they made Galarian Wheezing Fairy. Yeah, the
Well,
fairies get weirdly. There's no other word for it. They get kind of fetishistic in this generation. It's like Hatterene suddenly has like childbirthing hips, and this cake monster I've seen a lot of very uncomfortable fan art of.
well, clearly you need to give it to the prim and proper gentleman who's always dressed up for the occasion.
Well, of course.
Pip pip
So,
cheerio, God save the queen.
yeah, of course. I will say Gen 8 starters are also kind of bad. I really just don't like them. The Hisui starters are pretty interesting because they actually kind of put a new spin on three older generation starters. It doesn't really save Cyndaquil from being complete garbage because it turns into a ghost type, which is an objectively bad typing. Uh, but they did a good job for Decidueye and Oshawott, so you know what? So we're gonna get into more wacky form shenanigans, of which there are like entirely too many because like they really genuinely thought Dynamax was a good idea.
I actually really like the Hisui Meowth because it basically is a Pugum.
Yeah, you know what? That's true. He is a little pilgrim, isn't he? So now we have to pick
He's
from the
gonna walk by and
legendaries.
steal your credit card.
Hey, my wallet's missing. Alright. Oh yeah, Dialga and Palkia get origin forms in Legends Arceus.
But wouldn't that literally cause reality to unravel?
No, because they are still. It's a more powerful form, but they are still bound by the fact that Arceus is like standing right over them at all times, basically. They still can't really go nuts with it.
That is fine, whatever.
Don't
Whatever.
don't try to put your head around it. It's not worth it. Legends Arceus is a good game mechanically, but it suffers some of the same story shortfallings as the rest of the franchise.
Hmm.
Uh, I'll give it to Galarian Zapdos just because the dude looks goofy. It's again, this was very much the DeviantArt OC Donut Steel generation.
It's not a face, Dad.
I'm gonna give it to Frostmoth. Frostmoth is the best design overall.
See, here I was thinking that, Galarian Meowth would steal the win.
He might have come close. All right, Gen 9. We're back to games I've actually played.
I actually really like the little mouse family, if only for the fact that it literally is them pairing up, forming a family, and then, pooping out babies.
Yeah, it is non-stop generating babies. So, I'm going to be honest, I hate the past and future form Pokemon they tried to make. Because it's like, guys, they come from the past, so they're rock type. And then it was, guys, they come from the future, so they're steel type. I'm like, that is so creatively bankrupt, I don't even know what to do with it.
But I really like New Volcarona. New Volcarona is a robot beat poop.
That is a fair argument. But I'm going to give it to this Mega
I,
Man Battle Network looking dude.
I mean, I get it, but I like that particular one. There's a few of them that I like.
There's a few that are decent, but most of them are hot garbage.
Okay, I will say this. My starter was Froduck, so I actually really like that line.
That's fair. But I'm going to give it to the funny looking Diglett wannabe because his form makes me laugh.
You just say that because people would make edits that make it look like it's coming out of the protagonist's crotch.
Yes, and it still makes me laugh like the 13-year-old I am at heart. I'll be honest, I actually started with Fuecoco. I actually named it Kiryu, so it was Kiryu Fuecoco. But Ghost type sucks, so I actually threw it away and took a Volcarona instead.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you were, ever wondering, Snek is 98 years old at heart, but he is mentally 13.
I still have the sense of humor of a 13-year-old, yes. I'll be honest, none of these grass types do anything for me.
Is that one of the 3 swords?
Yes, that is the future version of Arizion.
What?
Yes. Don't ask how a legendary could have past or future forms, they just do. Inexplicably.
That doesn't make sense at all, but okay.
We're going to give it to this the walking Tentacool.
Tentacle woke up, walked over, and chose violence.
That's right, it did.
Violins.
Now, speaking of terrible designs, look at that prehistoric Raikou. What happened to your neck?
I didn't have neck day, you guys. That's why.
I'm going to give it to prehistoric Magnemite because it looks like it's rocking a really bad hair day, and that's kind of funny. Most of these designs are god-awful. I remember now that most of my Scarlet team was made up of older generation Pokemon. I
like Robot Delibird. It's like, beep, boop, Christmas is now not optional.
You know what? I'm okay with that, especially if it turns into the Santa Claus from Futurama.
Christmas is mandatory.
Oh, there's your boy Annihilate.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, there's a prehistoric Volcarona who is weirdly fuzzy.
Don't you know, hair? Hair is something that people forgot about over time.
Oh, that checks out.
Yeah, but
Oh,
Annihilate is good.
yeah,
I like that.
Annihilate is probably the best choice of these options. Poison. Again, I don't recognize a good number of these. Oh yeah, we got a Clodsire. It's got to be Clodsire.
Yep.
Ground. I'm giving it to Clodsire again. Not sorry. Flying. Wow, that is a whole lot of no
Oh
options.
yes, Mecha Ghidorah Hydreigon.
Mecha King Ghidorah, yes. I'm okay with that.
Because the Heisei period apparently is in the far future.
Well, of course. So we're psychic types. I'm giving it to the Mega Man Battle Network cameo.
I actually really like the Super Giraffe rig.
With the mask that extends up its neck. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'll give it to Fuzzy Volcarona. Why not? Rock. Gotta give it to the crab. Because he always looks like he's stressed. And I
I'm
relate to
surprised you're
that.
not giving it to the apocalyptic Heisei Tyranitar.
It's okay. But I don't know. The crab's face makes me laugh. So. Ghost. You know what? I think Annihilate's going to take this one again. Oh. Well, that's a bad start. Oh, okay. No progress lost. Everything is fine. Nothing is broken. Okay. Dargon. Oh, yeah, there's a prehistoric Suicune, which looks genuinely awful.
I actually really like prehistoric Salamence. I just noticed that because it's
Yep.
got feathers.
Yeah, it looks like
That's really
it's like
fun to
a
see.
proto lizard thing, and I'm just like, oh, that one's pretty good. A lot of them are
Mhm.
awful. Like Entei, Suicune, and Raikou look genuinely freaking awful. I don't know who signed off on those designs. You know, I'll give it to prehistoric Salamence.
I can fly, guys. Once again, Mecha King Ghidorah. The
I got.
Heisei period is in the far future.
I'm gonna give it to King Gambit because I actually really like that family, and it's like I think it's kind of one of the more underappreciated family lines. This
Okay.
one's Steel, and yeah, it's going for King Gambit again. Fairy. Don't remember seeing the weird bagel dog. I either didn't see it or it left such little impression on me. I don't remember it.
I was about to say, didn't Sana have one of those when she did X and Y?
Oh, not X and Y, but she did have it on. It's like a
Um,
secondary mascot thing.
yeah.
Um, I don't really like any of these. I give it to
Wow,
prehistoric Jigglypuff because I'm just out of
not even
ideas.
for Sana. Wow.
Yeah. Starters. We'll have Disco Duck over here. Regional variants.
Do what you want to do. Give it to the goofy, not Diglett, the
Nah,
Bobbit.
I'm gonna give it to Whooper. He just looks really happy. I realize now I like Pokemon that just look happy to be here. Legendary, I do not recognize so many of these, but that's in part because I didn't get the DLC because I didn't think they were worth it at all. So I guess I'll give it to my weird motorcycle dragon that I rode around on.
Mm.
Overall,
Clodsire.
Clodsire. Now we get to do a best of category. Giant woman, obviously. Fire. I think Volcarona is going to take this one.
Okay.
Volcarona is kind of hard to boof. Gosh, we have a lot of good choices for water types. I'm gonna go with Lapras. Can't go wrong with the classic. Grass type, Alola Executor.
Clearly.
My favorite electric is Magnezone. No questions asked.
I would have gone Denryu, but that's just me.
No, yes.
Um,
Ice. Oh, gosh. We
honestly,
have a lot of good choices for this one, too.
for me, I would have gone Aloha Ninetales, but I feel like you probably are going to go Jinx, if only to,
I
buck the
like
trend.
Jinx. I like Jinx a lot, but I like Mamoswine best of these options. For fighting.
For me, this would be Scrafty. I love that little gecko thing.
Yeah. This is hard. Like, there's a lot of good choices here.
I mean, let me tell you this. Even though High Jump Kick at the time would cause my Scrafty to kill himself, I just could not hate him.
That's fair. I do not fault you. I've had mixed luck with that myself, but you never know. No, I think I'm gonna lean Infernape. That's because like that guy was part of what got me through the slog that is Gen 4.
Honestly, I would not mind Infernape so much if it wasn't for the fact that they just kept going back to firefighting.
Yeah.
No.
Clodsire.
Flygon.
Flygon.
I ain't even mad, man.
I can't even be mad about that. We're gonna get Mecha King Ghidorah up in here. Psychic type. I think I'm torn between Espeon and Metagross, I'll be honest.
I feel like I need to rep Espeon, otherwise Noodle's going to be sad.
Yeah, you know what? Espeon is an excellent choice. No regrets. This one's going to be Leavanny. Use my little buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not going to fault you that one.
Rocks.
I have to say Lycanroc, personally, myself, but...
Okay. I'm going to go Rhyperior. Ghost.
Once again, the Smogon, all two of them who are in your fans are going to be like, why, Snek, why?
I got to go Sableye. That's my favorite ghost type. Dargon. A Flygon... I was about to say, we have some pretty good dragon representation up in here.
Yes.
We don't have True Hydreigon because we have Mecha King Ghidorah. This is a King Ghidorah Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Dark type. Well, obviously, we got to give it to M. Steel type. Man, these are all good choices. That's hard.
I mean, I feel like we need to give it to Probopass because, I mean, he's...
Look at this guy. He just wants to help. Fairy type. You know what? We'll give it to Mega Gardevoir. Have a cool, gallant knight.
Yes, you guys want a girl boss? Here's your girl boss.
All right, now we have to pick from our starters, which we do seem to have a preference. Given we lean very heavily into the water types here. And then fire second. Like, there's not a single grass starter, which I don't know if that says a lot about us or about anyone else. I think I'm gonna go Samurott. It's like, I don't know. This is a solid choice,
Gen 5 is my favorite generation. I'm not going to argue with that.
Regional variants.
Giant woman.
I was gonna let the meme rest at this point because I kind of want to put Mega Ampharos.
Okay.
Get that glam metal going here, and for legendary, of all of these, I'm gonna go Mega Rayquaza. And favorite
Giant woman.
Giant woman.
This means that you're gonna just have to have like a giant woman in Badlands Beast.
I think I have to now, and now I'm talking from the grid to copy it. Oh, okay. So we have one final set of questions to get through. So we have to assemble a team. Well, obviously, We have no choice but to have the giant woman on there. Then we have to have Alola Executor. So he'll be
We
he'll be
need
our grass type.
we need movie Meowth.
Oh yeah, we gotta have Movie Meowth. He'll be our the unexpected element of our team. That's our psychological warfare tactic. Uh, let's see. We will take. You know what? We need Clodsire because he's a poison ground, and plus he's a great defensive Pokemon. I used him for so many stall tactics.
Hmm.
Let's see. We'll take. We need like a water. We need a water type. We'll take the huge Lapras with like the fortress on her back.
There you go.
And now we'll need like a fire or an electric type.
Um, how about Volcarona?
Yeah, Volcarona's a great choice. Okay, there's our team. So,
This is not, in fact, us just messing around at all.
favorite regional burb. Uh,
Uh,
you know what? I think your case for Star Raptor is really good. So I'm gonna favorite regional mammal. It's got to be Bidoof. Gotta
Move.
have Bidoof. Favorite regional bug. That's gonna be my boy Swaddle. Favorite pseudo legendary.
I mean, I like Gudra.
Gudra is a good choice. Gee, a lot of these are really good choices. You know, we're gonna put in a
But, I mean,
Hisui
also,
Gudra.
yeah.
Favorite Pikachu clone, which there are many.
Most of
Uh,
these are literally just Pikachu.
yeah, you know, we're gonna take Mimikyu because life is suffering sometimes. Favorite evolution. Uh,
Uh,
okay, we have to
Espeon.
narrow this down. Espeon, yeah, you know what? I don't want to say Espeon or Umbreon, and that kind of depends on my mood at the time when someone asks me the questions. Favorite fossil. Mine's Caracosta.
Is Tyrantrum.
Both good choices. Favorite regional variant. Alola Executor.
Yeah.
It's kind of a meme. I would say it was either him or Alola Ninetales. Favorite Gigantamax.
I like trying to sneak into an R-rated movie, Eevee.
That one's good. I do like it, but I like Bearded Kingler just because he's just like, I'm old, turn down that rap music, you whippersnappers. Favorite Babu? It's going to be
And,
Smoochum
and baby.
and Baby. Favorite box legendary? Oh, as in cover art.
I'd have to go with God on this one.
Literal, actual god.
Yeah.
Um, that's tough. I like Reshiram a lot, but I also like Rayquaza a lot. You know, I think I'd lean Reshiram. Favorite mythical? That's tough. That's
Once
genuinely
again,
tough.
have to go with God on this one.
um, you know, I'm gonna go with Deoxys. Deoxys is a really cool idea, and he's one of the Pokemon that like never got overplayed despite being that cool. Favorite Ultra Beast? It's gotta be Buzzwole. He's just silly looking, and I love him. Paradox Pokemon. Uh,
Like Hisui, Mecha, King Hydreigon. Well, that's just me.
yeah. I think I'm gonna go with Fuzzy Prehistoric Volcarona. He just
Hmm.
looks like he gives great hugs. Favorite type?
Uh,
That's
for
tough.
you, gonna be Ice type or Ground.
I lean ground, I'll be honest. I'll say ground. Favorite Pokeball? There are many of those. Overall, I find that Like the ones I'd like to have a lot of are like timer balls, net balls, and quick balls are really, really good to have.
I used to be really fond of dusk balls,
Oh
only
yeah,
because
dusk balls are great.
pretty much every Pokemon that was worth having was either going to be someone you could find at night or is in the middle of a cave.
All true, all true. You know
I
what?
think they probably changed that, but yeah.
Favorite Spinda? I don't know. Randomize, randomize,
I,
randomize,
I have
randomize. That
I
one.
really don't care.
Yeah, Spinda's dots are such that it's based on its personality value, and given that there's over 65,000 of those, yeah, screw that. Pavilion. Uh, this one. Favorite Alcremie? Ah, God, the weird fetish cake monster. I don't know, the yellow one. Oh, the yellow one with strawberries. Why not? Favorite new Evo? Oh, as in a later gen evolution. Um,
Clodsire.
Cloudsire's a good choice. I'm probably gonna have to be honest and say Magnezone. Okay, we did it. We have filled out the chart in totality. Like I
Snek
said,
will
the
be Snek will be setting up his gym in Sneckburg with the giant lady team.
yeah, 6 giant ladies, and you just have to work around that. Uh, and then you're really in trouble because the last one in my team is actually a Gigantomax giant lady.
Oh dear.
So she basically is like as big as an Ultraman. So yeah, you guys let us know in the comments what you thought of this, and you can go on about this one is too long. I don't care. It's gonna be one video. We're all gonna have a grand old time, and it's just a very silly, fun, goofy little thing that you can do and share with your friends. Uh, Thank you, Dietaku, for joining me and entertaining me on this very, very silly, meme-filled adventure.
You're welcome.
And we will see you guys next time.
Later.